We'll see who counts the food.
This is the Troll Patrol, live with JustinFREAKIN.
I just sat down before the opening, and he just popped right onto my lap. Buddy, your claws are sharp. Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking... is it Thursday? I think it is Thursday. I've lost track of time. It's been a wild week. Torchy, Warlord, DJ Tub. It's a day. It's a day that ends in Y. Dougie, Princess Kimberly, Holiday, Alien. So glad to have you all here. I'm sorry I've been slacking. We're gonna find out what that news be doing. We got a lot of shit to talk about, and it is South Park Day. South Park aired last night. I will watch it again with you guys because it's a tradition now on the stream. So after the Troll Patrol, we will watch South Park. That will probably happen around 10:30. I've watched it twice. I watched it live last night, and I watched it with Curiouser just a few minutes ago, because there's no way that like she could come in here and watch it with me on my computer, but like there's no way to like stream it on a double pre-watch Andy Indeed. It was good though. It's a good episode. I'll gladly watch it again. But she wasn't going to stay up because, like, Paramount shows it at, like, 2 or 3 in the morning. She a working gal. Listen, I think I'm done doing the news. I never thought I would say the sentence I'm getting ready to utter to you. A 9-year-old... was charged with rape and attempted murder of a 5-year-old. Just when I think I've heard everything. We got some wild video of an ammonia leak out in Oklahoma. I shouldn't laugh. I'm not going to read the headline I just laughed at, because the fact that I laughed is just fucked up. Trump signed a bill. Trump signed the bill to reopen the government last night. I could have stuck with it, but fuck, it was like 4 hours of nonsense. Trump was signing the bill while South Park was on. I touched grass instead. Sorry. I'm sorry. But the longest shutdown in American history has ended. We're going to hear from a Texas hemp store about the bullshit provision that could outlaw hemp nationwide that the Republicans snuck into the clean continuing resolution. We're going to talk about all the Epstein news that has come out. You're going to hear from several Republicans. We're going to get some Harry Enton going to run down the numbers for Trump on Epstein. We're going to talk about Trump versus the BBC. That's a story that has been going on since I've been off. The supposed edit that caused 2 of their higher-ups to resign. A judge has ordered ICE and Border Patrol to release all their detainees. A Democratic staffer apparently was caught posing as a migrant's lawyer. There was a hearing earlier today about the efficacy, the legality of Lindsay Halligan's appointment. The DHS wanted to buy a jet that had no engines. Kristi Noem had put in place a contract to buy airplanes from Spirit Airlines that didn't have any engines on them. Spirit Airlines didn't actually own the planes. There's going to be no more pennies. No more pennies in circulation. A school district is still facing a backlash over Halloween costumes that people have accused of being about Charlie Kirk. They were absolutely not about Charlie Kirk. There was a standoff in LA. A driver who killed 4 Pepperdine students is going to still be facing murder charges after his bid to get the charges dismissed failed. And a man in the Bay Area sexually assaulted 60 different men. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol live. Good evening, Law Dog. Byronic. It's going to be a wild night of news. Let's get to it so we can get through it and get to watching South Park afterwards, because that's way more fun than this bullshit. Trump signed the bill to reopen the government last night. Terry, welcome in. Minty Treasure. That's the question. 60 men at once? We'll find out when we get to that story.
Today we're sending a clear message that we will never give in to extortion, because that's what it was. They tried to extort. The Democrats tried to extort our country. In just a moment, I'll sign a bill exactly like we asked Democrats to send us all along, many days ago. This cost the country $1.5 trillion, this little excursion that they took us on. Republicans never wanted a shutdown and voted 15 times for a clean continuation of funding. There's never been a time when one or the other party ever didn't sign a continuation. It's just a continuation, not a big deal. It's a continuation, and we'll talk later. Yet the extremists in the other party insisted on creating the longest government shutdown in American history. And they
I can't believe it's over now.
I want to thank Speaker Mike Johnson,
Toads, welcome in.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune, as well as House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, Majority Whip Tom Emmer, and numerous other
Did
great
I ask you to put your ass on me?
senators who are here and who frankly spent a long time in Washington getting this thing to go away. I also want to thank the broad coalition of Americans that stood with us in this fight to reopen government, including the Teamsters, the
Oh, he's robbing us blind right now.
employees, the Fraternal Order of Police, AMVETS, the National Small Business Association, the American Farm Bureau, the American Trucking Association. These are all incredible patriots. The Airlines for America, the Allied Pilots Association, the National Air Traffic Controllers Association, and many other unions and non-unions. Over the past 7 weeks, the Democrats' shutdown has inflicted massive harm. They caused 20,000 flights to be canceled or delayed.
You know, he names off all those groups. It's kind of funny that Kristi Noem announcing bonuses today for TSA, none of the other groups that Trump named.
What I'm so proud of, though, today, and what I'm here talking about today, is the outstanding patriotism and service of our TSA
Not for air traffic controllers.
officials that stepped up every single day to make sure that those individuals at our airports and at our transportation systems continued to be safe and secure while they went about their daily lives, and limited the impact on those families that relied so much on getting to where they needed to be on time. So today we are announcing that we are going to be handing out bonus checks of $10,000 to TSOs, to agents who work for TSA who served with exemplary service. And what that means is that we are going to not only continue their paychecks like they should have received all along, but also they're going to get a bonus check for stepping up, taking on
But why just
shifts,
TSA?
each and every day, for serving the American people and taking seriously the mission. that
I'm
the
all for
Department of
workers being
Homeland Security
rewarded, but
takes seriously and
TSA?
seriously every single day, and that's keeping the American people safe. And we will be continuing to not only recognize employees across the country, but we will be looking at every single TSA official that helped serve during this.
I know you guys don't want to hear it, but she can be my GOP mommy. I wonder what she looks like under that weave and all that makeup.
Government shutdown.
I'd like to find out.
Recognize that and help them financially with a bonus check to get them and their family back on their feet. So with that, Rico, I want to present to you a check and say thank you from the American people. Appreciate it. Ashley, thank you. Yes. And is Leo here? All right, Leo.
It's so not her real hair. I wonder if she shot the thing that made her hair.
We thank you for watching.
Oh, shut up,
Stay
Tom
updated on
Llama.
Breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or watch live on our YouTube channel.
Nobody wants to hear from you. We want Lester back. We miss Lester. I'm sorry, I shouldn't speak for everybody in the chat. I miss Lester. Back to Trump.
They
The
departed
molester.
so many times, so late. People were hurt so badly. Nobody's ever seen anything like this one. This was a no-brainer. This was an easy extension. But they didn't want to do it the easy way. They had to do it the hard way, and they looked very
He
bad.
knows about no-brainers.
They deprived more than 1 million government workers from their paychecks and cut off food stamp benefits for millions and millions more Americans in need. They caused tens of thousands of federal contractors and small businesses to go unpaid, and the total effect of the damage their antics caused will take weeks and probably months to really calculate accurately, including the serious harm that they did to our economy and to people and to families. So I just want to tell the American people, you should not forget this when we come up to midterms and other things. Don't forget what they've done to our country. I also want to call for a termination to the filibuster so that this can never happen again. If we had the filibuster terminated, this would never happen again. And don't forget, we have another date coming up in the not too distant future. We can never let this happen again, and we should be able to pass really great legislation. So I say terminate
Oh, yeah, we could have another shutdown. What is it, February?
immediately if they ever assumed office, which hopefully they won't. Today we had the highest stock market price ever in all of the different markets. We set a record. It's the 48th time in the 9 months that I've been in office that we had this record set. So think of that, 48 times. We had a
Wow.
But today is the highest of them all. We're gonna break new grounds. Nobody would have thought.
Yeah, usually when you set a record, it's the highest of them all.
The great business leaders of our country, they're standing right behind me, and really.
That's kind of how records work.
And if we would have told them a year ago that we'd be having stock prices this high, none of them. In fact, I just asked them that question. None of them would have believed it. And that inures to jobs and, very importantly, to 401ks, which have also set a record today, a record high for the people that have 401ks. And also, I want to thank Walmart because they came up with a fantastic study. It was the cost of Thanksgiving coming up and the cost of Thanksgiving from
this again
under Sleepy Joe Biden, and we're 25% lower this year than we were a year ago. And it's a very inclusive report. So I want to thank Walmart. They've done it for many years, but we believe in that.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news.
Oh, God damn it, I gotta do it again.
News app, or watch live on our YouTube channel.
Shut up, Tom Llama. You ain't Lester. Let's go to factcheck.org to fact check Trump's claim about the Walmart dinner. Trump serves a misleading Thanksgiving meal statistic. Walmart's 2025 Thanksgiving meal, consisting of pre-selected products, costs about 1/4 less than last year's meal, but also includes fewer grocery items and different food brands. Yet President Donald Trump has been misleadingly touting the decline in the price of this year's meal without mentioning the reasons for the big decrease. There's still a drop in price when comparing the same basket of items as the 2024 meal, but it's a smaller decrease, 6.5% by our calculations. In a November 5th Truth Social post, Trump wrote, Walmart just announced that the prices for a Thanksgiving dinner is now down 25% since under sleepy, crooked Joe Biden. Average grocery prices are up, not down, as we wrote earlier this month. The Consumer Price Index for food at home increased by 1.4% from January to September. It was up 2.7% from September of 2024. It's according to the BLS, which we may never get the reports from again, or we at least may never see the October report. Caroline Levitt saying that data may never be released for October, at least. White House official says October jobs and inflation data are likely to never be released. The government is beginning to reopen after President Donald Trump signed a House-passed funding package on Wednesday night, ending the record 43-day shutdown. The White House has suggested the inflation and jobs data skipped during the shutdown may be permanently lost just a few weeks before the Federal Reserve will weigh in on December rate cuts. The Democrats may have permanently damaged the federal statistical system, with October CPI and jobs reports likely never being released. According to Caroline Levitt, all of that economic data released will be permanently impaired, leaving our policymakers at the Fed flying blind at a critical period. Flash, welcome in. Clinically, my friend. Did I miss anybody else who snuck in here on me? We back. We finding out what that news be doing. We're going to watch South Park at the end of the Troll Patrol, which probably is going to be about 10:30. Let's hear from a hemp store owner in Texas. about a little provision that was snuck in to the continuing resolution passed by the Republicans. Yes, there was a new South Park last night. We'll watch the new episode right after the Troll Patrol, so stick with us.
Well, Texas blocked a state hemp ban, but a provision tucked into a federal spending bill could ban many THC-containing hemp products nationwide.
KPRC 2 News reporter Devin Clark is live outside of CBD American Shaman. That's a store in Stafford where the owner says it won't only force her to find another job, but have devastating effects on her daughter who relies on THC-containing hemp products for health reasons.
Trump took his job.
Joel, Danny, we're talking about a ban on products like Delta 8, Delta 9 gummies and drinks. The ban, if it were to be signed by President Trump, would go into effect in about a year. And the owner of CBD American Shaman right behind me says it would be like pulling the rug from not only underneath her, but also her entire family.
It would greatly impact this industry. Over 230,000 people will be affected.
For owners like Sandra Campbell, it's personal. She says her shop helps support her daughter, Amber, who has faced life-altering health problems, and that a ban would threaten both care and income.
Amber is the reason I got into this business. She has autoimmunity. She had a medical procedure. 2 days later, she was a quadriplegic. As you can see now, she's a paraplegic, and CBD has really assisted her through this journey.
Campbell says CBD has been part of that journey, helping Amber manage symptoms and helping her family sleep and cope. She warns a federal ban would not only shutter businesses, but also remove options families have relied on for years.
Thanks, Republicans. Fucking assholes.
Some of those in favor of the ban, like Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, say that this is to prevent people from getting hooked on drugs. Advocates who are pushing for regulation and not...
It's not drugs.
...say they have no proof that these products are addictive at all, and they believe that the real reason for the ban is to criminalize people who are in a demographic
dental domain
used THC. We are live in Stafford. Devin Clark, KPRC 2 News.
Devin, thank you. Well,
that's the power of the hemp products clinically. She went from being a quadriplegic to being a paraplegic. I don't know. I'm just the messenger. I don't fucking know. Wake up, new emails just dropped.
Able to take him down. Those are the words of Jeffrey Epstein talking about Donald Trump in a private email written in 2018. The email is part of a trove of over 20,000 pages of documents released Wednesday by the House Oversight Committee, raising new questions about President Trump's ties to the deceased convicted sex offender. Earlier on Wednesday morning, Democrats on the committee preemptively released 3 emails from the files. In one email from 2019, Epstein wrote that Trump, quote, knew about the girls. In another email from 2011, Epstein described Trump as the, quote, dog that hasn't barked, noting that Trump had, quote, spent hours at my house with Virginia, a reference to the late Virginia Giuffre, who accused Epstein of grooming and sexually trafficking her beginning when she was 16 years old. The Democrats released a version of the email with Virginia's name redacted, but an unredacted version of the email was later released.
In a recently published memoir, Virginia Giuffre writes she feared she would, quote, die a sex slave at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. But in the book, Giuffre does not allege wrongdoing by Trump. She worked at Trump's Mar-a-Lago before being recruited by Ghislaine Maxwell. In another email from 2015, Epstein asked a reporter at the New York Times, quote, would you like photos of Donald and girls in bikinis in my kitchen? We're joined now by Spencer Kuven, who represents several survivors of abuse by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. We have a lot to ask you about in very small amount of time. Start off by responding to these emails that have been released. And now the latest news that the House is going to vote on releasing the whole trove of Epstein-Maxwell documents by next week, not in December, as was previously thought. Do you think Johnson get one of the Republican Congress members who are calling for the release to flip?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. And I'm not sure exactly what they're going to actually do. But remember, this is just one procedural hurdle, right? The House has to pass this discharge petition. And then once the discharge petition has now gone through, they've got to vote on the floor. Then once that vote occurs, it's got to flip over to the Senate. And then the president will then have to sign off on releasing this information. So there are times or periods in this process where it can get hung up and we never end up seeing this information. Also, remember that the most important thing that we want to see and that the general public should be shown isn't necessarily the documents. It's the videotapes and photographs that were taken into custody by the FBI at the various different homes of Jeffrey Epstein. We're talking about his homes down in the Virgin Islands, here in Palm Beach, where I'm at, as well as his home in Manhattan. That's the information that's going to speak 1,000 words. That's what the general public needs to see.
Where are those videotapes? And does the Epstein estate have what many feel the government should have taken?
Well, I believe the videotapes are in the custody of the FBI because, remember, he was arrested at Teterboro Airport, and he never had an opportunity to get back to his mansion post-arrest. And the FBI then executed a search warrant on his home in Manhattan. That is where we believe that a wealth of video evidence was maintained. In addition to that, they then executed a warrant in the Virgin Islands. We know that after his arrest here in Palm Beach, or actually I should say just before his arrest, he had a team of people that took hard drives away from the home here in Palm Beach and secreted them away. We always understood as attorneys back then in 2007, 2008, when I was representing these young victims, that they had likely taken that evidence off to the Virgin Islands to secure it. So they've got 500 gigabytes of information that needs to be released.
Well, Spencer, you had already seen the emails that were released yesterday, including the one that disclosed that Trump spent hours with Virginia. They were under a protective order by a federal judge, which is why you couldn't disclose them. Now, if you could talk about when you first saw them, what most surprised you, and whether other lawyers or yourself have seen any of the photographic or video evidence that you say is so crucial.
Well, I can't talk about things that might be protected by, still protected by protective order. What I can tell you generally is that the emails were part of a litigation that occurred down in the Southern District of Florida. And when that disclosure occurred, remember that our advocacy as attorneys was on behalf of victims to try to upend or turn over the sweetheart deal that the U.S. government had executed with Jeffrey Epstein because they failed to keep the victims informed of that deal. I only learned of it on behalf of my clients because an informant told me that I needed to rush to court because this secret deal was about to be entered. So a lot of that information was turned over in that litigation. We weren't really focused on Trump at the time, so it wasn't the focus of our investigation or our litigation back then. We were just tangentially aware that they existed. Now that the focus is on this material, I can say that there is a lot more to come, and I can say that the FBI does have more information that needs to be released.
Well, the FBI has also interviewed, as you've said, over 40 girls, some just 14 years old. So
Michael Wolff looks horrible in those email exchanges. It looks like he is trying to blackmail the president, or is trying to help a sex trafficker leverage blackmail against the president. It is insane. And it just shows he's written multiple books about Trump. He's had access to Trump. And every time Trump accuses him of being a horrible person and a liar, but then he lets Michael Wolff come back in and be part of his inner circle and write another book. It's insane. He is a co-conspirator. I agree, Flash.
Oh, where are those interviews? And is there any likelihood that those, the content of those interviews would be released?
Well, first and foremost, I would wish that the identities of those individual victims continue to be protected. Some of them, like a lot of my clients, nearly all of my clients, have remained anonymous even to this day, almost 20 years later. No one has the identities or names of my clients that I have kept confidential. So I would hope that that remains to be the case. But the contents of those interviews, in other words, what they said and who they were with and who they told police they had been with and been traded to at Epstein's mansion, we believe that that information should be made public, along with the videotapes and photographs that we believe the FBI has in their custody.
And Spencer, your response to the latest revelation that Ghislaine Maxwell, aside from getting very special treatment at the minimum security jail that she was sent to in Texas, that is shocking.
She apparently got a puppy.
Are not supposed to be in these minimum security facilities, is applying for a commutation of her 20-year sentence.
Well, of course she is. I'm not shocked or surprised at any action that Ghislaine Maxwell takes. She's a convicted liar and sex predator. So I don't believe anything she does, and nothing she does shocks me after 20 years. She will do anything she can to trade on information that she believes she has. We've seen that now in some of the emails that this duo of Epstein and Maxwell were all about leverage. They were trying to use leverage when discussing President Trump. They continued to use leverage when they were discussing Andrew in England and other notorious individuals. And I believe that that deal was struck to transfer her to this prison before she ever spoke to the Department of Justice. Because why would a criminal, and why would an attorney advising a criminal to tell them, speak to the Department of Justice when you have a pending appeal? It's asinine. It makes no sense whatsoever, unless there was a deal that was struck beforehand that said, listen, if you talk and keep Trump's name out of this, we'll transfer you to a nicer prison.
Spencer Kuvin, we want to thank you so much for being with us. Lawyer for a number of survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's abuse. Thanks for watching Democracy Now!
Silent, welcome in.
Subscribe to the channel and
love you, Amy. You were amazing. Democracy Now! Does great work. Let's go to Mike Johnson. This is his response to the Epstein discharge petition, and the House having to take up a vote.
Welcome back. The White House is facing new questions about President Trump's relationship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Documents released by the House Oversight Committee mention the president by name. That includes one that says, quote, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Trump continues to deny any wrongdoing. In fact, he posted a response on his social media. He said, quote, the Democrats are using the Jeffrey Epstein hoax to try and deflect from their massive failures, in particular, their most recent one, the shutdown. But it's actually Republicans who are now calling for transparency on the issue. House Speaker Mike Johnson says he plans to hold a vote on releasing the Epstein files next week.
DOJ provision, will that be next week?
Yes, as soon as possible. It'll be on the suspension calendar, and I think it'll pass overwhelmingly. Yeah.
And do you plan to encourage Senate Republicans to support this? I mean, how can you ensure that will pass?
Yeah, no, I will. I mean, I was as surprised by the inclusion of that language as anyone. I had no prior notice of it at all. I was frustrated, as my colleagues are.
I don't believe you.
Untimely and inappropriate. So we'll be requesting, strongly urging our Senate colleagues to repeal that. I mean, to help us repeal it. I think that American people will agree with that.
CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi joins me now for much more on this. We know the White House press secretary, she disputes what the Epstein emails actually mean. How is the Trump administration spinning this?
Well, Mugo, Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, said yesterday that the revelation of these emails from House Democrats actually proved that the president had done nothing wrong when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't know how.
He had done everything right by kicking him out of his Mar-a-Lago club when he found out about the allegations with young women.
He didn't.
And because of that, the president distanced himself from Jeffrey Epstein, someone who he once called a friend. But of course, this continues to just be a thorn in the side of this administration as they look to...
Epstein said they remained friends.
All
the way up until Trump was in the White House.
Continues to hang over and distract from them. That's what the White House has been calling this, is mainly just a distraction.
And it seems, Olivia, that some Republican lawmakers, they also want to see the Epstein files released in their entirety. Does the White House have anything to say about that? How are they handling that? Because it seems, for the most part, they seem to have support from Republican lawmakers. Things seem to be shifting right now.
Well, certainly there is a small group of female Republican congresswomen who are part of this discharge petition, I should say, that is happening on Capitol Hill in the House. Essentially, if they needed a majority of the House to sign on to it, they could release some of the documents related to what is going on with the Epstein saga, revealing perhaps more information, perhaps damaging information to President Trump. So there was an effort to block this. They now reached 218 yesterday with the swearing in of a Democratic congresswoman, but there was an effort to pressure those female Republican congresswomen to take their name off of that petition prior to that. We know that Lauren Boebert, who's a congresswoman from Colorado, had a meeting with Kash Patel, the director of the
Seriously, he has to be guilty, right?
Attorney General for the U.S. And during those conversations,
it's so obvious
about this discharge position. There was also a conversation had with Nancy Mace, a Republican congresswoman from South Carolina, about this as well, playing phone tag with members of the administration, asking her to remove her name. So certainly a pressure campaign there, but Mugo, it doesn't quite matter because they still got to 218, and so there's likely to be a vote on this sometime next week to reveal this information. However, it would still have to go to the Senate, which is in Republican control, and be signed by President Trump, and there's absolutely no indication at this moment that he plans to sign this. So perhaps all of that effort to stop this might just be moot anyways, but certainly telling that there was an effort to not get enough, or to not get 218 signatures in order to get this released. So
yeah, it seems like they
a lot going on this saga. Yes, but certainly some effort there to try to perhaps stop this from being revealed.
But then interesting, too, that you mentioned it has to go to the Senate, which it likely won't pass there, and then has to go to the president for the president to sign it, and that's probably not going to happen either. Thank you for breaking that down.
It's moot anyways. Yes.
Yeah. Olivia Rinaldi, thank you so much.
Trump's poll number is not doing too well in the face of this Epstein saga. Let's hear from our boy, the numbers boy, over on CNN, Harry Eaton.
This morning, the pressure is mounting on President Trump and the Justice Department to release all of the files related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. After a House committee made public 20,000 more pages of documents, the House is now set to vote on the matter next week. And among those demanding full transparency, Epstein's survivors. Here is one of those survivors who talked to Aaron Burnett.
We need the government to release everything that's in these files, of course with the appropriate redactions to protect the privacy of the survivors, but we really need this information to be out there so these crimes can be investigated.
I'm sorry. Do you want to talk about the prince who had his title stripped from him? We can do that.
It's really upsetting to us that this is so politicized when it's not a political issue. This was a crime, and it's a crime of sex trafficking, and we really just want to see justice for the crime that happened to us.
Survivor Liz Stein there, just asking for justice. CNN's Harry Enton is here with us. Now, look, when you talk to you hear from the victims, it is very clear what they want. They've made that clear again and again. What does the American public think about how Donald Trump has been handling the Epstein files compared to all the other issues that he brought up during the campaign?
Yeah, you know, Donald Trump is underwater on basically every single issue he ran on in 2024. But the Epstein files, the Epstein case, are especially dreadful for him. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look at Trump's approval rating on the issue.
Prince Andrew, no longer Prince Andrew. He is now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Documents released by the House Oversight Committee reveal how the former prince and the late pedophile apparently responded to public allegations about their friendship in 2011. A new trove of 20,000 documents from the Jeffrey Epstein estate released on Wednesday, providing unprecedented insight into how the late financier and convicted pedophile interacted with his associates and famous friends. Following the initial drop of emails that showed Epstein discussing President Donald Trump, The House Oversight Committee released a series of unredacted emails sent to and from Epstein, including at least 2 that appear to have been sent from Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Andrew has not yet responded to a request for comment.
Look, they're all in red. They're all in the negative territory. But on immigration, he's 5 points underwater. Foreign policy, 8 points. Trade and tariffs, he's 17 points. The economy, 18 points. But look at the Epstein case. He is 39 points below water on the Epstein case. His net approval is 39 points in the negative. My goodness gracious. What Donald Trump has been selling on the Epstein files, the Epstein case, the American people, simply put, have not been buying at all, Sarah Seidner.
All right, so is there any sign that things have gotten better since there have been some things that have been released?
Yeah, okay.
Although released by Democrats.
There have been some things that have been released. Donald Trump has been trying to make some sort of case saying that, the folks don't necessarily care about it. But take a look here. Approve of the Trump admin on the Epstein case in early July, right when you had those DOJ droppings, right? It was 17%. Look at where we were by late September, the latest poll I could find it. 20%. We often talk about Donald Trump having this floor, right, of at about 40%. On this particular issue, he is less than half the level of the supposed floor. There's just nobody.
I'll probably go grab the bowl for South Park.
Who is buying this. They do not like the way that the Trump administration has been handling this case one iota.
Republicans have generally said they like
I'm pretty stoned.
Trump is doing, generally speaking. How do they feel about the Epstein case?
Okay, so you see, approve of Trump on the Epstein case. This is overall, right? And you see 17%, you say 20%. That is way below the 40% floor that Donald Trump supposedly has. How does that possibly happen? It's because of Republicans. Because look at this number. Okay, Republicans who approve of Trump's job as president, 87%. That is basically in line with the long-term average, 85, 90, 95%. But look at the Trump admin's job.
A lot of numbers coming at us.
5%.
67 point.
Less than half of Republicans.
67 2/3%.
Administration is telling. Look, we're not necessarily sure whether or not this case has moved the ball on Trump's overall approval rating yet, but I can tell you that the more that this case is in the news, the worse it is for Donald Trump, because simply put, it is his worst issue by far.
We could be seeing a vote on this next week. This case is not going away anytime soon.
It is not going away anytime soon, and that is bad.
Bad news for Donald John Trump. What does the newly released Epstein files say about our good buddy Bill Clinton? Never on the island. What the latest Epstein files say about Bill Clinton. I'm going to have to read this whole goddamn thing. The latest tranche of Jeffrey Epstein-related documents released on Wednesday included emails in which the convicted sex offender said former President Bill Clinton never visited his infamous private island. A 2011 email addressed to the Duke, whose email address has been redacted. Epstein first asks if the recipient is okay and adds, "These stories are complete and utter fantasy. I don't know and have never met Al Gore. Clinton was never on the island." Well, that's not juicy info. Trump suing or threatening to sue. Yeah, get his fucking ass too. Nobody cares. Threatening to sue the British Broadcasting Company for editing an interview, or I'm sorry, not an interview, for editing a clip from January 6th to make it seem like he called for violence directly after he called for his supporters to march on the Capitol.
The BBC is facing its biggest crisis in decades. 2 of its top leaders just resigned over allegations of left-wing bias, and U.S. President Donald Trump is threatening to sue for $1 billion. It started with a leaked memo to the BBC's board, raising concerns about left-wing bias.
When did Rachel Maddow go to, what are we watching right now? Reuters. When did Rachel Maddow go over to Reuters?
Coverage of Donald Trump, the Israel-Hamas war, and transgender issues. The memo was leaked to the Daily Telegraph. Critics pounced, and the BBC took a week to respond, creating an impression of paralysis. Then things got worse. The BBC eventually apologized for a panorama documentary that spliced together multiple parts of a speech by President Trump on January 6, 2021, that made it appear as if he was calling on his supporters to violently storm the Capitol.
I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol.
Now, Trump said this was unfair and left out key parts where he encouraged protesters to remain peaceful. The Director General and head of news resigned, and Trump's lawyers sent a letter threatening to sue unless the BBC retracted the documentary and apologized. But
I don't think the BBC did anything wrong.
Correspondents reported a clash between news managers who wanted to apologize and the board, which said the problem was of larger institutional bias. The BBC disputes this account. Still, the damage is done and it could get worse. This comes as the British government is reviewing how it funds the BBC and as its licensing fee model is coming under increasing pressure as viewers turn to streaming. The BBC's 14-member board will now select a new Director General to lead it through this turbulent period. Read more at Reuters.com, where we've been covering the situation closely.
Basically, what they should have done is use some sort of a wipe to show that there was an edit there. Instead, they just did a cut. It's not a big deal. The BBC did nothing wrong. They didn't make him say something that he didn't say. But any little thing that Trump can latch onto to claim bias.
In Chicago, a federal judge ordered the release of hundreds of detainees from ICE custody over the next week. His reasoning, these arrests happened without warrants or probable cause and were possibly in violation of a consent decree court order. CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camila Montoya Galvez joins us live. What can you tell us about this court order?
Hi, Reed. Good afternoon. This order stems from that consent decree from 2012 that you underscored, and that really severely limited the ability.
But how long until this is overturned by
including
an appeals court
and Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) to detain and apprehend individuals without a warrant? U.S. immigration law, importantly, Reed, generally says that Border Patrol and ICE agents, as well as other federal immigration officers, must have a warrant at the very least before arresting somebody unless they suspect that an individual is in the country illegally and also is likely to escape and flee apprehension. And now, today, and this week, a federal judge has determined that the Trump administration is violating that consent decree from 2022 through this Operation Midway Blitz that cracked down on immigration in the Chicago area that started.
It quacked down.
Advocates have been saying, Reed, that many of the immigration arrests by federal officials in the Chicago region in recent weeks have been indiscriminate and that they have occurred without probable cause or warrants, not only judicially, but also ICE or Border Patrol warrants. This judge has agreed with those concerns to a large extent, has now ordered also ICE to release about a dozen detainees by tomorrow who he determined were unlawfully arrested in violation of this consent decree, and also to place another 600 or so ICE detainees in what are called alternatives to detention programs, meaning surveillance initiatives that allow people to continue their immigration proceedings, Reed, but outside of an immigration detention center. That could include, for example, being fitted with an ankle monitor. And so this, in many ways, Reed, is a significant legal setback for the Trump administration's crackdown in Chicago.
Crackdown.
So we also know the first batch of detainees are supposed to be released tomorrow. Why just that many, 13?
It's a good question. The government...
This is a good number, 13.
The Justice Department did that.
Beggars dozen.
Or so detainees who have to be released by tomorrow were all illegally arrested in violation of this consent decree. And so the judge, the government, and the advocates filing suit in this case all are in agreement that these 13 individuals were illegally arrested and thus they have to be released now. The other 600 or so detainees, their cases are still being litigated, and the judge is still weighing the question of whether their arrests are legal and had sufficient legal justification. Reed.
All right, Camila Montoya Galvez watching this development. Thank you so much, my friend. Good to talk to you.
Let's talk about the type of arrest they might be referring to. This is one CPB arrest that happened in Chicago. Putting a Mexican migrant in a chokehold which eventually left him hospitalized. When the New York Post uses a content warning, you know it's bad. What the fuck is that music?
Shocking video shows a Mexican migrant being put in what appears to be a chokehold by a Border Patrol agent in a suburb of Chicago, leading to him being hospitalized and then taken to an unknown location, his family says. The viral footage, taken from a nearby upstairs window, captures the moment Ricardo Aguayo Rodriguez writhes on the ground as he pleads with the federal immigration agent in Melrose Park on November 2nd. Please, friend, Aguayo Rodriguez could be heard saying in Spanish as the pair grappled on the ground next to a white truck in a driveway in the neighborhood. After being apprehended, he was taken to Loyola Medicine's Gottlieb Memorial Hospital to be treated, local outlets reported. According to his family, they were denied the ability to see Aguayo Rodriguez during his stay at the Melrose Park Hospital and now no longer know where authorities have taken him after his release, they told the Chicago Tribune. His sister, Dora Sawane, told local outlets she was able to catch a glimpse of Aguayo Rodriguez through the door of his hospital room on Sunday night. She also said that her brother was riding his bicycle to get food when he encountered federal agents near 17th Avenue and Main Street. In a statement to the outlet, DHS claimed that Aguayo Rodriguez, whom they described as a criminal illegal alien, attacked the agents after fleeing on foot.
That bullshit.
His criminal history includes previous convictions
Don't
for
believe
assault
it.
and battery, as well as possession of a controlled substance.
Don't believe it.
He actively resisted and assaulted law enforcement. The agent deployed pepper spray to de-escalate the situation and stop the assaults. After Rodriguez continued to violently resist and put law enforcement in danger, the agent delivered strikes as a last resort. As a precaution, Border Patrol took the suspect to a hospital for medical treatment. According to the outlet, Aguayo Rodriguez was released from Gottlieb on Monday. While the family suspects he's being held at the city's Broadview detention facility, they have enlisted the help of a lawyer who is still trying to confirm where Aguayo Rodriguez is being held. According to the statement from DHS, he will remain in custody under medical supervision pending removal proceedings. The shocking incident is just the latest aggressive arrest by federal agents caught on video around the Windy City. On Halloween, Border Patrol agents could be seen punching a man with his face pinned to the asphalt as he was detained. DHS claims that the man had assaulted an officer and while he was being arrested, grabbed the agent's genitals and squeezed them. The agent delivered several defensive strikes to free himself.
Like, you got any balls, buddy?
Earlier that week, a 76-year-old U.S. citizen was left with 6 broken ribs after Border Patrol agents dragged him from his car. According to his local running club, he was on his way to his Chicago home from a team-long run before discovering Border Patrol had his street blocked. Agents reportedly threatened to break his window if he didn't move his car, before pulling him out and kneeling on his back to subdue him. U.S. Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino, who is currently stationed in Illinois, addressed the concerns of agents' methods of arrest in an interview.
Currently looks like a Nazi.
Just as we always have, that least amount of force necessary to effect the arrest or the mission. So the use of a less lethal device receives criticism. You notice I just said a less lethal device in the face of a potentially life-altering injury. No, I fail to see that. We do the collaterals just like we did in Los Angeles. Same way here, and a lot of it's in conjunction with targeting. And again, if we see an illegal alien, we don't let them pass.
These motherfuckers out here completely drunk on power. And sometimes literally drunk. This booze hound arrested in Chicago.
Oh, crazy.
Police here in Oak Brook identifying 33-year-old Guillermo Diaz Torres from Albuquerque, New Mexico, an ICE agent who they say was asleep at the wheel.
Got off shift. I came here. You guys have a checkpoint. This doesn't look good.
On police body cam video, Diaz Torres tells officers he finished an 18-hour shift at the Broadview Detention Center at midnight. But an hour and a half later, his SUV jumped a curb and plowed into a row of shrubs, barely missing a pole and a pedestrian crosswalk.
Do what you gotta do. None of that matters. Yeah, this is unacceptable.
A police report shows Diaz-Torres' speech was slurred, his eyes bloodshot, and officers smelled a strong odor of alcohol. On video, Diaz-Torres tells officers he was heading straight to his hotel in Lombard and didn't stop, though he didn't answer where he'd been since his shift ended an hour and a half earlier.
And then which direction were you coming from over here?
I have no idea, sir. I'm not from here.
Diaz-Torres is then run through a series of sobriety tests.
Stand here in front, feet together, arms at your sides.
I understand him. I'm horrible at balancing.
Which police say he failed.
M N L M N O P Q R W.
He also refused to
QRW
take a breathalyzer test.
I'm not gonna do that.
You're not going to do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so you're refusing to blow?
Yes.
All right. All right, man. Well, you're under arrest for DUI, okay?
The arrest comes as ICE continues cracking down on undocumented drivers charged with this very...
Leftist silent. Flo, welcome in.
Says this case will likely go to trial.
All right, I'm going to have you sit over here in the back seat for me, okay?
And it will be up to the federal government whether this agent stays on the job.
This judge who's hearing the DUI case has nothing to do with the conditions of his employment. The only issue that the judge has is whether or not he's guilty or not guilty, and if he's found guilty, what the sentence.
It's pretty guilty to me. We're gonna go to Santa Ana, where video shows a ICE agent pulling a gun on a driver. Get more abuse of power.
Developing tonight, an ICE officer caught on camera getting out of the car and putting a gun at a driver and a passenger in Santa Ana. The video making waves on social media.
Tonight, we're hearing from DHS and Fullerton Police. Fox 11's Laura Diaz has the story from Santa Ana now.
Sunday afternoon, just blocks from the county seat in Santa Ana, a private citizen who was following and rolling video on an ICE agent got this response and a gun pulled on her. The location is Shelton and Santa Ana Boulevard. This is the video.
That make you feel like a big man?
Are you for real right now?
It's just sad. You don't feel safe anymore. You just don't, you know? I just pray for everyone that's going through all that.
You see the agent in the green shirt, in plain clothes, admonishing the woman who says she's monitoring the agent. At the corner of the screen, a police car, which reportedly was Fullerton Police responding to a distress call. According to Fullerton Police, once it turned out to be a federal officer and no crime was committed at that Santa Ana location.
Looks like a crime to me.
The officer left the scene. He could not assist.
I thought police are not supposed. I'm just driving. You're following me. What the?
I don't think she's doing too much, rather when she's just getting close to them. I get it if she's like reaching for something. Like, these are guns that they use in the army, you know what I mean? There's no reason for them to point at us like civilians.
Sunday's incident comes a week after another reported incident of an ICE agent exiting his vehicle with a firearm in Santa Ana when a citizen monitor was following him. Again, the agent in civilian clothes, in a bright red shirt, approaching the car with a gun drawn.
Doors, lock your doors, lock your doors. Lock your doors, lock your doors, lock your doors, lock your doors. Oh, go back, go back, go back, go back.
In Santa Ana, Laura Diaz, Fox 11 News.
DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin releasing this statement about Sunday's incident, saying in part, near Santa Ana Boulevard and North Shelton Street, the driver of a white Nissan screamed at an ICE law enforcement officer and attempted to cause a collision. Our officers
attempted to cause a collision.
Activated emergency lights, exited their vehicle, identified themselves as law enforcement.
Wow.
Ordered the aggressive driver to stop.
It just once again like clarifies for me how this is a nation of a bunch of pussies. And absolutely, they want to be tread on. The fact that there haven't been ICE agents that have been shot already is a fucking shame. Come get me, DHS. I dare you. Put me in alligator Alcatraz, you fucking fascists. Go for it. You want to say that's violent rhetoric? I want to see some patriots exercise their Second Amendment rights. A mayor in Kansas has apparently been arrested for allegedly voting as a non-citizen. He was elected mayor.
The mayor of a small town in rural Kansas is facing criminal charges for allegedly voting as a non-citizen. State leaders say Coldwater Mayor Jose Ceballos committed fraud by voting in several elections dating back to 2022.
They poured cold water on his attempted fraud.
Now, this comes just days after Ceballos won nearly 83% of the vote for a second term as the mayor of Coldwater. Let's bring in CBS News correspondent Ian Lee. He joins us live. Ian, describe what happened and how big of a problem is non-citizens voting in Kansas?
Hi, Elizabeth. Yeah, so Ceballos voted, as you pointed out, in elections dating back to 2022. Now, we should note he is in the country legally. He is a legal resident, but voting is illegal, and he faces 6 felony counts, up to 68 months in prison and up to $200,000 in fines if he is found.
Did he know?
But hearing from Kansas's Secretary of State as well as their Attorney General, they say that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Here's more of what they had to say.
One of the reasons that those individuals had remained on our voter rolls is because you can't simply look at the voter rolls and say that person's a citizen, that person's not a citizen. The only way you can discover that a non-citizen is on the voter rolls is if some sort of external information comes to light.
Be prepared to be busy as we go through these and find out potential positives of people who are non-U.S. citizens that have voted.
So in that press conference, they also said it's pretty easy actually to get on a voter roll. You don't have to be a U.S. citizen to get a driver's license, but they said when you're getting your driver's license, you can then be registered to vote, and there could be some mishaps. And so you can be on a voter register and never have voted, which isn't illegal. But if you do vote, that is what's illegal. And they say there could be thousands of people who are.
So what has happened is there are people that have gone in, got a driver's license, been asked if they would like to register to vote, and they're just like, yeah, sure. And they thought they were legally registered to vote.
Registered to vote who shouldn't be.
Well, Ian, how can officials make sure that only U.S. citizens are actually voting?
Yeah, so as we just heard, it is quite difficult when you have those registrations to say, okay, who's a U.S. citizen and who is not. They said that a government program, a computer program, can help them go through those lists and tell if someone is or someone is registered illegally or if they're not. And like I said, you know, it's not illegal to be on those lists. It's just illegal to vote. And so as we heard, you know, they believe there could be more people out there who voted illegally, although they did not say how they learned about Ceballos, how he was voting. It was also, I should also note that being mayor is also illegal. You have to be a U.S. citizen to hold state office in Kansas. But that is not a criminal offense. That will be up to the town to decide what happens going forward. But state officials in Kansas say this is just the beginning. They got 10 years of voter registration to go through to look for if anyone shouldn't be there. Elizabeth?
It'll take some time. Ian Lee, thank you so much.
Has anyone found his... Shouldn't be hard to find what party he was, but all the stories are about this, about him being arrested. Okay, here's the election results. Oh, it's a nonpartisan race. Ballotopia have that? No. You guys would like to look and try to find his registration. There you go. There's his name. A Democratic staffer has apparently been caught posing as a lawyer for an undocumented migrant.
Staffer from Senator Tammy Duckworth's office in Illinois is in hot water after the Department of Homeland Security alleged he posed as an attorney to release an illegal immigrant in ICE custody. Video posted by DHS on X allegedly shows the staffer, identified in a letter sent to Duckworth's office as Edward York, at an ICE facility in St. Louis.
Oh, I don't believe DHS.
York reportedly works as a constituent outreach coordinator for Duckworth's office. According to the acting ICE director Todd Lyons, York entered the facility with aims to release Jose Ismael Ayuso Sandoval, a 40-year-old illegal immigrant who DHS claims has a DUI conviction and has been deported to Mexico 4 times. DHS told Newsweek that Sandoval was arrested in Staunton, Illinois on October 29, 2025, and had been issued a final order of removal in 2003. In a letter sent to Duckworth, Lyons went on to write that York claimed to be Mr. Ayuso's attorney and then demanded to speak with his client. York then allegedly met with Sandoval and was even able to get the illegal immigrant to sign a G-28 form, which gave him permission to represent Sandoval and correspond with government agencies on his behalf. After receiving Sandoval's release order, DHS says that the alleged scheme started to unravel when, 4 days later, a law office in Collinsville, Illinois, also filed a G-28 form for Sandoval without the immigrant's signature. Lyons now alleges that York may have been collaborating with the firm to cover his misrepresentation. According to Fox News, ICE was not able to verify if the staffer was an attorney.
I don't believe this story.
To a post on the Montgomery County, Illinois Democrats Facebook page, which recounted the events, alleging that a member from Duckworth's staff went to
he's a Republican.
Office with a packet of documents, including a release form. DHS also said the post stated that Illinois Governor Pritzker's office was also heavily involved in the...
I mean, it's Kansas, a small town in Kansas.
...to respond to Lyons' letter regarding York's alleged activities. Like many other Democrats in Congress, Duckworth has been an outspoken opponent to the Trump...
Trying to slander a vet who lost her fucking legs.
Early October, Duckworth and fellow Illinois Senator Dick Durbin...
in war.
...federal officials from entering an immigration facility outside Chicago, where National Guard troops had recently gathered. The pair accused the Trump administration of stonewalling congressional oversight and warned of an unconstitutional...
So yeah, this sounds like retaliation.
It is appalling that 2 United States senators are not allowed to visit this facility. What are you afraid of? Is what I want to ask Christina. What are you afraid of? If you don't hide, you don't run away when you're proud of what you're doing.
So I don't believe this for a second. DHS does some shady fucking shit. Just like they've got the DOJ doing some shady fucking shit. So shady that it caused a prominent conservative judge to resign in protest. This was a Reagan appointee saying that Trump is uniquely dangerous.
Mark Wolf, a Reagan-appointed federal judge, is resigning after 4 decades on the bench, and he's sounding the alarm. In an essay published by The Atlantic this week, he wrote, quote, "The White House's assault on the rule of law is so deeply disturbing to me that I feel compelled to speak out. Silence for me is now intolerable." Judge Wolf shared additional context and more of his concerns when I spoke with him earlier today. Judge Wolf, welcome to the NewsHour. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you and with some of the American people.
I should say you have spent 50 years with the Department of Justice and on the bench. You have seen a lot of...
2008 was McCain.
...go. What is so worrying
Romney was 2012.
about this moment and this president that made you want to speak out?
Well, I think this president is unique and uniquely dangerous. When a new president is elected, he or she is entitled to set priorities for the Department of Justice. But we have an ideal that's crucial to me and many others of equal justice under law. And this president repeatedly, overtly directs the Department of Justice to prosecute his perceived political enemies at the same time that the Department of Justice is not investigating possible corruption by people close to the president and people who are doing things to profit the president and his family. So that's utterly inconsistent with, as I said, this fundamental principle of equal justice under law, to which I've dedicated my professional life for 50 years, and it's personal to me. It's deeply disturbing.
So from your time in the Department of Justice during Watergate, you've seen presidents push the limits of power. You've also seen the guardrails hold. Why are you worried that they won't hold now?
Well, I'm worried in part because I think all of the abuse that's been showered on the courts and the judges is causing people to lose confidence in the integrity and the impartiality of the judicial process. When the Supreme Court ordered Richard Nixon to turn over the tapes he made secretly in the Oval Office that had incriminating information about him and his close colleagues, he understood that he had to obey that order because the American people would not tolerate disobedience, and he would have been impeached and removed. I'm not sure, I'm not confident that that would occur today, because when judges like my colleagues rule against the president, he says that they're corrupt and they should be impeached. And the judges are not in a position to respond except by continuing to do their work with integrity and impartially. But I'm afraid that that's not a message that's getting to the American people.
From your conversations with your fellow judges, do others share these concerns? How widely held is this concern?
We don't discuss particular cases, but I would say that this concern is widely held. The judges work hard. The criticism from the president, I believe, doesn't influence the way any cases are being decided by any judge that I know. We, or now they.
Very nice TV. Welcome in. Raiders. Awesome.
But, it is.
Welcome in, Raiders. I am JustinFREAKIN. We find out what that news be doing Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes it's kind of boring, but we like to liven it up. We hand out titty slaps.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
We like to get a little high, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN.
All we're establishing is this guy's wicked, sick aesthetic.
Not high enough for this shit.
I guess I gotta thank Matt Walsh for introducing me to JustinFREAKIN.
Hey there, y'all. We're about to get stupid, locked into what that news be doing. Fu Manchu and a slick bandana, colder than ice, smoother than Santana. Audio, video, chat and calls. Right-wing nut jobs haunt the halls. What you wanna watch? Hey, what you think? And there's only one choice. It's JustinFREAKIN.
The guy's, he's a formidable voice in the call.
Light one up and tip one back. It's a right to be high. Let's grab a snack. It's fucking news, quick panic, attack, and play your cards right and get a titty slap. Jump in Discords, have some fun. The man will talk to everyone. Get high and try to debate. When shit pops off, chat thinks it's great. What do you think you're doing? Join the troll patrol. Wherever discourse is brewing, he gives it that southern drawl.
So let's go ahead and bring in Justin. Hey Justin, how's it going, brother?
First of all, I want to say you're poser South. I'm in Alabama. I'm the real South.
Okay, all right. So why don't you tell us what it takes to be in Indiana?
Well, I don't know. I'm in Alabama and I'll fuck a man in a dress. Why won't you fuck a man in a dress? Are you that insecure that you won't fuck a man in a dress?
That's fantastic. So you're okay with that, right?
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
Good.
Right-wingers are morons.
Like one it and hit one back on one more clip. Where we hit the set an alert when that shit goes live. Social fucking support and hit subscribe. Like one up and take a hit. He does no harm, but it takes no shit. He's the last one standing when the ship is sinking. Let's take another rip for JustinFREAKIN.
Light one up, tip one back. I'm JustinFREAKIN.
Not high enough for this shit.
So if you're not familiar with what we do around here, that video gives you a good little idea. You heard the lady. Light one up, tip one back. News win. What do you think we've been doing, son? Been doing boring ass news for like the last hour and some change. By the way, we're going to be watching the newest episode of South Park after we get finished with the news. It's become a tradition here on the stream. It's coming up. That's coming up. We have a 9-year-old charged with a horrific crime that makes me want to quit doing the news. We're going to watch the new episode of South Park probably about 10:30 after we wrap up the news. So if you guys don't have a way to watch South Park, you want to watch the newest episode. It just aired last night. I'm going to watch it again with you guys. So we just heard from a Reagan-era judge that says that Trump is uniquely dangerous, weaponizing the DOJ against his political opponents, like in the Comey and Letitia James case, which both had hearings today.
To get to in Virginia now, where lawyers for former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James argued the interim U.S. attorney prosecuting them was unlawfully appointed to her role. MSNBC legal affairs reporter Fallon Gallagher has been inside court all morning. MSNBC senior legal reporter Lisa Rubin's back with us. Fallon, I understand things have wrapped up. What do we need to know?
Anna, the big headline today is that there is no decision from the judge on whether Lindsay Halligan was unlawfully appointed. She did say that that decision will come by Thanksgiving, so within the next few weeks. As far as the proceedings, the government and the defense both made arguments that we've seen in a lot of the briefs. The defense went first. There was a lawyer speaking on Comey's behalf who basically argued that this is another example of the administration violating the appointments clause. They are saying that Lindsay Halligan was unlawfully appointed and therefore ineligible to serve as the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia when she secured both of these indictments against Comey and James. They went on to argue.
Now remember, 2 prosecutors resigned in protest over the indictment of, was it Comey or James? It was one of them, whichever one was indicted first. I think it was Comey. And that's what resulted in Lindsay Halligan being appointed to the position of U.S. Attorney for the D.C. District.
That this is a separation of powers issue, because if the Attorney General can appoint an acting U.S. Attorney on an interim basis for 120 days, like they're saying that they can here, then that bypasses congressional authority and also judicial authority to keep these U.S. attorneys in place. The government responded that that is completely invalid and that.
Oh, Tones, it may have been the Jack Smith case that they resigned over. There's so many cases, it's hard to keep up.
This is merely a, quote, paperwork issue. They went on to say that the Attorney General has, quote, broad authority to appoint as many 120 days terms for these U.S. attorneys as they would like. Now, the judge seemed a little bit skeptical of that argument, that I would say during the defense's presentation, she mostly listened and looked straight forward. When the government was arguing, she asked some more questions and some were more pointed. Specifically, she asked about a decision in the Jack Smith case, which I think Lisa can actually speak to quite well.
Lisa, go for it.
One of the things that she seemed to ask the government on a as they were on their way out the door. Essentially, do you think that the decision by Judge Cannon in United States versus Trump, that's the classified Mar-a-Lago documents case, was wrongly decided? You and our viewers may remember that Judge Cannon invalidated Jack Smith's appointment on the grounds that it violated the Constitution's appointments clause. Why? Because he constituted an inferior officer based on his powers that should have been nominated by the president and Senate confirmed, but in no case simply appointed by the Attorney General. The point Judge Curry was trying to make, or at least was insinuating, is that Lindsay Halligan is really no differently situated than Jack Smith. The whole point of the special counsel regulations is to empower the special counsel to behave as a sort of 95th U.S. attorney in addition to the 94 judicial districts. If the special counsel's authority is really functionally equivalent to that of a U.S. attorney, and the special counsel can't be appointed by the Attorney General without confirmation by the Senate and nomination by a president, well then, what does that have in store for Lindsay Halligan? The government, as I understand it from Fallon, really struggled to answer that question directly, sort of twisting itself into knots. You can see how that would be a problematic position to defend. How
Check out the protester in the background
Lindsay Halligan's
in the frog suit.
Okay. I will tell you that there are some minor differences in that a U.S. attorney is always subject to the supervision of an attorney general. That's not necessarily true, though, with respect to a special counsel. Those regulations said that a special counsel can do certain things unless essentially the attorney general says they cannot. That having been said, the attorney general had power to fire a special counsel. The attorney general doesn't have power to fire an interim U.S. attorney. So there are some differences here, but her focus on Judge Cannon's opinion is not a good sign for the government.
Turn the free frogs gay.
We're showing some live pictures as you were talking, ladies, of James Comey's family leaving the courthouse. I'm curious, Fallon,
I can't read the sign.
that courtroom, was Lindsay Halligan there? We know
It's
she was
hot indeed.
on behalf of the government in this hearing.
That's actually one of the things that was most interesting about this hearing. So you saw the Comey family walking out. I think nearly all of his children, his wife were here, his son-in-law, who actually used to be a prosecutor for the Eastern District of Virginia and resigned shortly after the indictment. They were all here. Comey himself was sitting in the front row. Noticeably, who was not here was Letitia James, the New York Attorney General. Her entire legal team was here.
Something Barbie, yeah. So it must be a shot at Pam Bondi.
But the thought process was behind that. And then, as you referenced, Lindsay Halligan was sitting at the table to the right next to the government attorney who was
That one says courtroom Barbie.
She did not speak once in the entire hearing. She sat at the table. There were a few times where she whispered next to the other DOJ lawyer who was sitting next to her, but she never spoke anything, even though she was the main character in this entire hearing. Anna?
Lisa, how does that strike you?
Well, you know, usually, Anna, if a U.S. attorney attends an argument in a particular case that they're supervising, that U.S. attorney is silent. It's wholly unusual for a U.S. attorney to do any speaking in court. So the fact that Lindsay Halligan was silent today, particularly when she was the subject of the hearing, doesn't strike me as unusual. What's unusual is the posture of this case that brought us to today's hearing, that a U.S. attorney, himself or herself, having been appointed on an interim basis, is signing indictments because there are no what we call line assistants or career prosecutors who are willing themselves to sign it. Fallon alluded to James Comey's son-in-law, Troy Edwards, who resigned very shortly after the indictment. That also sort of discounts the number of other people who were either fired or resigned in this U.S. Attorney's office attached to the courthouse right here, leading up to and shortly after the Comey indictment. A supervisor in another office outside Alexandria, who is known to be involved in this case, was fired. The person acting under her supervision with respect to this case was fired. The head of the National Security Division here, fired. Another career national security prosecutor, fired, and on and on and on. Sort of the career expertise of the office that Lindsay Halligan now helms has been destroyed. I've heard one former prosecutor in this district describe it as literally the hollowing out or the decimation of legal expertise in this office. So whether or not Lindsay Halligan's appointment was lawful, the impact of her coming to this office solely to supervise these two prosecutions, replacing Eric Siebert, who was the Trump administration's first choice, serving for that 120 days as an interim U.S. attorney, also being the nominee of the president. His nomination was, of course, withdrawn. The fact that she came here at all will have reverberations for years to come, Anna.
But if I could just add to that very briefly, the big the big implication here with Lindsay Halligan being that sole signature on those indictments, if she is found unlawful, the defense teams are both arguing that that should be grounds to dismiss that because she had no right to bring these indictments in the first place.
Obviously, the ruling didn't come today. Fallon, bring it home for us. What are we watching for now?
Warlord found it. It says disqualify Retribution Barbie.
For that judge's
Thank you, Warlord.
she will have something by Thanksgiving. We don't know if that means, Thanksgiving morning or the day before.
Warlord gets a titty slap.
She is giving herself a couple weeks of wiggle room here to get that ruling because this is clearly very important for both of these cases. Anna?
Anna? The DOJ is suing California over the Proposition 50 that passed last week. So the DOJ is suing California for the thing, they're advocating Texas, Illinois, North Carolina to do.
We begin with breaking news right now this noon hour. The U.S. Justice Department is joining the lawsuit filed by the California Republican Party to block Proposition 50. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lisa Gonzalez. So last week, voters approved the proposition in a special election to redraw the political boundaries for next year's congressional races. It was paid for by the Democratic Party, those maps. The Trump administration accuses California of racial gerrymandering in violation of the U.S. Constitution.
The Lord, welcome in.
Using race as a factor to favor Hispanic voters with the new map. It asks the judge to prohibit California from using the new map in any future elections. In a statement, Attorney General Pam Bondi says, quote, California's redistricting scheme is a brazen power grab that tramples on civil rights and mocks the democratic process. Bondi goes on to say Governor Newsom's attempt to entrench one-party rule and silence millions of Californians will not
stand. Will not stand. That was the end of it there. I didn't know where to fit this in because I feel like it needs to be mentioned. Miss Nixa, welcome in. Velveeta Voldemort. I find Velveeta disgusting. I'm like one of those people that hates fake cheese. I'm not a cheese product kind of person. So just calling him that just makes it that much worse for me. Or better of a comparison. No, fake cheese is horrible. No cheese in it. Ooh. Flash Curiouser has this thing of cheese sauce. I want to say it's ragu. It's just cheddar cheese sauce. And she has been so excited about it. She's wanted to use it for days. And she's several suggestions ooh, what should I put this cheese sauce on? And she made baked potatoes. I was like, you had broccoli, right? Baked potatoes, broccoli, perfect for cheese sauce. It's I'll even eat it. I won't be the cheese. Because I'm it has to be, it has to be Sargento or higher for me. It has to be Tillamook or Boar. I don't know about Boar's Head since the recall. I haven't had Boar's Head since the recall, but that used to be one of my go-tos for fancy cheeses. But I don't, Kraft is shit to cardboard. I don't like that. That's not good stuff. Sargento is where it's at. Consistently good fucking cheese that you can find pretty much everywhere. So that's my baseline for cheese. I am a cheese snob. It's Tillamook. Tillamook. I have no idea how it's pronounced. I just know it tastes really fucking good. Their ice cream is good. I don't know if I've tried anything else. They have other products. I usually get their low moisture Kerrygold tones. Kerrygold is very good. Do they make cheese? I get their butter. It is fan-fucking-tastic. Oregon gal, I tell you good evening. Boy, okay, Warlord, what kind of cheese do you get over there in England? In jolly old England. Yeah, I've never had their cheeses, but their butter is fucking out of this world. Extra fucking old cheddar, aged cheddar, sharp cheddar. I fucking love it. The funkier, the better. I'm sorry, we're nerding out on cheeses over here. I've not had the maggot cheese. I don't know if I could bring myself to try it. I don't know if I could bring myself to try it. I've seen it. I don't know if I could do the bug shit coffee either. Believe me, I've seen people do it. Romiano Cheese Company. We're gonna go on a detour here over some cheese. Nobody gives a shit about John Fetterman and him falling. Sounds like some good shit. Sea salted butter. Yum. This is why I'm afraid I'm going to lose a foot.
5 breaking news from the U.S. Senate. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman is in a Pittsburgh hospital recovering from what his office says was a ventricular fibrillation flare-up. A spokesperson for the 56-year-old says the heart episode led him to feeling lightheaded and falling during a walk. He suffered minor injuries, but he's also in the hospital for observation. That's where we begin at 5 o'clock. I'm Jason Martinez.
I'm Sheba Russell. It is Fetterman's most recent medical episode following a stroke back in 2022. And Jennifer, you spoke with Dr. Mike to help us understand the senator's diagnosis.
Yes, our Dr. Mike.
I advocated hard for him during the election.
Ventricular fibrillation is a type of
I don't know how I feel about that anymore.
This can be life-threatening, so Senator John Fetterman is extremely lucky to be alive and in good
Shelley, welcome in.
tonight. Now let's take you to this post on X by his team. A spokesperson saying during an early morning walk, Senator Fetterman sustained.
Some people would say that he didn't dupe anybody, that he's always been like this and it's always been obvious, and that some of us just wanted to ignore it.
It was established he had a ventricular.
I mean, that's on me.
That led to Senator Fetterman feeling lightheaded, falling to the ground, and hitting his face with minor injuries. Now, we know Senator Fetterman has a history of medical conditions. He has previously suffered a stroke and has been open about his mental health and depression. Our Dr. Mike also says Fetterman has a couple heart conditions. Atrial.
Getting burned by Fetterman is one of the reasons why I've not taken a position on. Is his name Graham
called
Plattner?
Dr. Mike says as a result.
That's how little I've paid attention to it.
Automatic implantable cardiac defibrillator, or AICD, in Fetterman's heart.
I'm real talk here, guys. I'm very checked out at the moment. I'm concentrating on my actual business. I've been, applying for jobs and shit like that. Curiouser and I have been going to concerts and amusement parks and shit like that. I've been sitting in there watching TV shows with her and just hanging out, living life. So I apologize because I really do. I like doing the news. This is the show I've always wanted to do. But sometimes you have to step away for a little bit, and things have been a little crazy. So that's why I haven't been on every night. That's why we've had a little bit of a weird schedule. Hell, I was on at fucking 6 in the morning. The business is not back to where it was once upon a time, but I've noticed that I kind of had checked out on the business and I was on coast because I was just getting people I would get invitations to interview. I get 5 or 10 a day. So if I just applied to those, I was getting enough work to get by. I never had to put any work into finding any clients. Here in the last year or so, that's kind of changed. I don't know if AI took my job, if the economy has been downturning, but I also noticed on both of the sites that I'm on, the freelancer sites, they have like, you know, like the one site where I get most of my work, it never had where I could set up, people could go and just place custom orders with me. Like it was always like me responding to other people, sending proposals. And I just noticed that it has like a bunch of empty slots that I'm not using. And maybe if I do that, I will get more offers for work. But anyway, this is completely... So I've been kind of concentrating on that shit. I've been thinking about making more, I've been making more video essay type content. I don't know about struggling. I'm very lucky that Curiouser is an amazing woman. I'm not getting married. I love her to death. She, for those of you who don't know, she's my ex. But she was my ex for a year, 10 years ago, and she's been one of my closest friends for years since. I don't know about that. But she is wonderful, and she has taken very good care of me, and I'm lucky to have her in my life. And hell, we're going to see They Might Be Giants on Monday. I'm very much looking forward to that. That's going to be a fantastic time. I would marry the first GOP mommy that came along that had some money. I would love a sugar mama. I've had to work my entire fucking life. Please give me a sugar mama. I've lived alone most of my life. I'd absolutely take a sugar mama with a giant house where I can be at like the other end doing my streaming shit. Let me make content. I thought about it today. I think I'm going to start making videos that I want to make. Like, people have their like Mount Rushmore of wrestlers. I think I'm going to make a Mount Rushmore of wrestling video, but I think I'm going to say, because I'm a woke leftist, it's actually a 6 grandfathers. So I get to pick 6 wrestlers. Oh, I was writing the script in my head earlier today. I've got a whole list of ideas for, content. I don't think either Curious or I would ever be interested in getting married unless it was for tax purposes, business purposes, or whatever. I don't think either of us actually have that in our future or would want anything like that. Somebody in chat suggested I do best asses in wrestling. And I should totally do that. I should do like a tier list of wrestlers' asses. And I think that video would actually do good. Byronic, you've heard my fucking pitch. Mine won't include Hogan. I don't even know who mine would be. I didn't think, because like, no, I was going to do co-ed. I was going to do male and female. I don't even know who my 6 picks would be. On my Mount Rushmore, I was Terry Funk, Bret Hart, was a Dusty. Not know doesn't do anything, Byronic. Not know doesn't set things in motion. An emphatic yes, an enthusiastic yes sets things in motion. Not no just kind of leaves things in limbo. Not no, she says. Terry Funk, Bret Hart. For sure, those two are on there. God, this is a tough one. Harley Race. Bret Hart, Terry Funk, Harley Race. If I have to pick 6, it's going to be fucking hard. Oh, Macho Man. Of course, how could I forget Macho Man? I fucking love Macho Man. Macho Man absolutely goes on my Mount Rushmore. 6 grandfathers. I'm going to pick 6. It's going to be my 6 grandfathers of wrestling. I love Scott Steiner, but I don't know that I could put him on like greatest wrestlers of all time. He's one of my favorites of all time. I goddamn love him. He is the inventor of the Hurricanrana. I thought I was still doing asses. Once again, I'm not going to do a Rushmore. I'm going to have like the video title is going to be Rushmore. And then I'm going to do 6. It's going to be 6 grandfathers. Miss Nixa, when I was doing classic wrestling on Saturdays, I turned everybody that was here in chat into Bull Nakano fans. Bull Nakano was the fucking shit. Everybody that was here with me loves some Bull Nakano. You want a fantastic women's wrestler. I mean, just look at that. Look at the look. Ooh, Roddy Piper would probably be one I put up there. Lenny, welcome in, my friend. Let's get through the news. Remember, we're going to do South Park once we're done with the Troll Patrol, so I'm sure there are people in the chat that would like me to get done with the Troll Patrol so we can get to the fun stuff and watch the new episode of South Park. Probably going to come at you around 10:30 anonymously. Welcome in, my friend. Say goodbye to the penny. And it's amazing. They're holding up this copper piece next to a man who looks like he's bathed in copper.
The cost savings of ending penny production will save the American taxpayer approximately $56 million a year in just production cost alone.
After 230...
I don't even know how to feel about this.
Just makes sense. The last penny ever to be made was struck at the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia on Wednesday. God bless America, and we're gonna save the taxpayers $56 million, U.S. Treasurer Brandon Beach said before he pushed the button on the penny-making machine at the Mint, and the room erupted in applause.
Good job.
And just like that, the coin that's been in production since 1793 and which sit untouched in jars and homes around the country for decades at a time will never again be made. In February, President Trump announced that he was ordering the Treasury to stop making the wasteful coin because it costs more money to produce than it's worth. The government was spending...
I mean, that is true.
...every penny it was minting, which added up to $56 million per year in total. Trump and other critics have argued that the penny has also become obsolete. When the penny was first made just years after the country was founded, 1 cent could buy Americans a biscuit, a piece of candy, or a candle. Now, of course, a penny will get you nowhere. Plus, there are billions of pennies that already exist, which Trump and others say is enough to tide America over for the foreseeable future. The cancellation of the coin only applies to its production, and pennies will remain legal U.S. tender. But while the Trump administration is celebrating, some businesses have been sent scrambling, changing prices after the cancellation came with no federal guidance. And some banks have complained that their penny supplies were already running low ahead of the cancellation, which has forced them to ration distributing the coins to customers. We have been advocating abolition of the penny for 30 years, but this is not the way we wanted it to go, said Jeff Leonard.
Sounds like everything with this administration.
Stores, according to
even when they do something right, they do it wrong.
About the penny being discontinued, there's another elephant in the room when it comes to wasteful production, and that's the fact that the penny isn't even the
Hold on to them, Terry. They may go up in value.
Nickels cost around a whopping 14 cents to produce. Try to make that math add up.
Why don't we just produce cheaper currency then? I don't get it. But it's not like this administration does things logically. Kristi Noem reportedly tried to buy 10 engineless Spirit Airlines planes that the airline didn't even own. The bizarre anecdote was contained in a Wall Street Journal report released on Friday, which recounted how Noem and Corey Lewandowski, who she is fucking, managed Donald Trump's. See, no GOP mommy coming for Justin from the Noem camp, because she fucking Corey Lewandowski, who managed Donald Trump's first winning presidential campaign, had recently arranged to buy 10 Boeing 737 aircraft from Spirit Airlines. People familiar with the situation told the paper that the two intended to use the jets to expand deportation flights and for personal travel. Those sources also claimed Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials had cautioned them that buying planes would be far more expensive than simply expanding existing flight contracts. Complicating matters further, Spirit, which filed for bankruptcy protection for the second time in August, did not own the jets, and their engines would have had to be bought separately. The plan has since been paused, according to the Journal. Meanwhile, Democrats on the House Appropriations Committee said in October that during the fall's record-long government shutdown, the DHS had already acquired 2 Gulfstream jets for $200 million each. I don't know if I could do Boebert. Let me take that. I would have a one-night stand with Lauren Boebert. I'd fuck just about anybody, to be honest with you. I have very low standards. But I couldn't I couldn't have an ongoing relationship with her. She couldn't be my GOP mommy. Just throwing it out. I've quit OnlyFans. There's like OnlyFans and their face recognition shit. I'm done with it. But I used to follow a woman that looked like Lauren Boebert. And a woman that looked like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm horrible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We have a scandal brewing over in Ukraine. Ukrainian minister quitting today over a major corruption scandal.
A scandal in Ukraine's government. Prime Minister Volodymyr Zelensky calling for the country's justice minister and energy minister to be dismissed. Shortly after, they both resigned. It's all because the country's anti-corruption police allege a $100 million U.S. kickback.
Be my Ukrainian mommy.
Firms. Zelensky calling for maximum transparency. Among the suspects, a former business associate of his. This Kyiv resident says some suffer while others line their pockets. The allegations of profiting off the energy sector come as Russia pummels Ukraine's power grid ahead of a cold winter.
It does suggest that there was a significant corruption and a significant problem behind the scenes.
McGill University's Maria Popova says, however disappointing, this proves safeguards are working.
The sovereignty of Ukraine, its territorial integrity is one of our top priorities internationally.
The scandal coming the same day Canada's foreign minister announced new sanctions on Russia, on its drones, natural gas, sanction-evading shadow fleet of oil tankers, and cyber infrastructure, the latter to limit Russia's disruptions.
Most of these measures will likely have been previously sanctioned by other countries.
Sanctions expert Gonzalo Saiz says it brings Canada in line with allies, but that Canada must do more at home.
Canadian technology and high-priority items still make their way to Russia and are then fed into this drones that are deployed in the battlefield in Ukraine.
Popova says Ukraine will likely try to prove to allies very quickly that corruption faces severe penalties. And then, she says, attention will likely shift back to the front lines. Nathaniel Dove, Global News.
You needed that moment of levity before we talk about this horrendous story about a former IDF lawyer who was arrested after she leaked a video showing the abuse of Palestinians. Buckle up for this one. This is one that happened while I was checked out that we need to talk about that I never got around to.
Outside the home of the woman at the centre of an Israeli national scandal, protesters shout traitor and shame. Less than a week ago, Yifat Tomer Yerushalmi was the Israeli military's top lawyer, but now she's lost both her IDF career and liberty after admitting she was the one behind a leak of footage from inside a controversial detention centre. The former military advocate general sparked a manhunt on Sunday after going missing following her resignation. She claims not to remember portions of time from her disappearance, and police can't locate her phone for evidence. She's now been remanded in custody, accused of fraud and breach of trust, abuse of official power, obstruction of justice, and disclosure of information by a public official. The footage at the centre of the fallout at the top of the IDF appears to show soldiers taking a Palestinian detainee aside at Sedetman Detention Centre in July last year and using their riot gear to hide them allegedly sexually abusing the man. The former chief military prosecutor said she leaked the video to counter false propaganda against the army's law enforcement authorities. The soldiers allegedly involved were arrested by Tomer Yerushalmi's department, sparking protests outside the detention centre. Some of those in the crowd were MPs from the ruling coalition.
You have to understand the terrorists who raped, slaughtered and abused our people found a new method, a whining like rats that some soldier touched them.
Wow. They are advocating on behalf of rapists.
Just yesterday, the 5 soldiers who've been indicted for the assault held a press conference, bolstered by support from Prime Minister Netanyahu himself. They claim the leaked video means they won't get a fair trial.
Would they have been charged without the video?
Fighters who need the backing of the government, the backing of the system. But instead of a hug, we got accusations. Instead of thanks, we got silence. We will continue to fight for justice for ourselves, for our friends, for our families, for everyone who came out in uniform and defended our home. We will win.
A long-standing target of Israel's right wing, Tomer Yerushalmi's rapid fall has quickly emerged as a national scandal, overshadowing the video at the centre of the case. But it's not the first time accusations of this kind have been made. Over the last year, Channel 4 News has spoken to several detainees from Sudetomen who allege they too were physically assaulted and sexually abused by IDF.
Just look at those pictures, you can tell it's inhumane.
When you are bent over, they target your ass with a baton from behind, both the women and the men. Everything is focused there. The baton, with its thickness and made of iron, when it's extended and inserted inside you, it feels like your brain is exploding.
Bodies of Palestinian detainees returned from Israel to Gaza as part of the recent peace deal also allegedly show signs of abuse, with some bearing marks of torture and execution. The release of the CCTV from this alleged incident has fueled an intense political backlash, laying bare the cracks in Israel between politicians and the judicial system, with the leak now seemingly a bigger priority to the government than the alleged crime itself.
Yeah.
I'm joined now by Yossi Meckelberg, who's a senior consulting fellow at Chatham House. What were her motivations, do you think, for releasing the footage? Obviously, there's now questions over fairness in trial and everything.
Smells a lot like an Edward Snowden job.
She admitted in a letter and resigned. There was a lack of judgment there. But I think one also need to understand the immense pressure she was under. Here comes, a complaint about a Palestinian detainee that was allegedly abused by a number of reservist soldiers that in this case work as some sort of prisoner guards. The detainee was so badly harmed that he has to be hospitalized. Come then to light a video, a recording from the CCTV that at least on the face of it, proves, what was alleged. She charged them. The immediate response of this is dozens of people. It's descent on the detention center that was built immediately after October 7, including members of the coalition, break into this, attack the investigators, and from then on, it's out the attacks, the violence, or at least the verbal abuse against the chief prosecutors, the Advocate General, Tomer Yerushalmi, was unprecedented, including accusing her of blood libel, which anyone that knows Jewish history know how serious it is. And she tried to defend herself by releasing this clip.
Given the pressure she was under, do you think there was another option?
I mean, there is always another choice not to do that. Maybe sometimes to resign and come completely clean with the media, complain about it, go to the Supreme Court. I think there are sometimes other options. But again, this is not taking away from the severe pressure that she was under as all the legal system, the Supreme Court, the entire judicial system, the Attorney General to the government, they're under constant attack during the current government. And the background of all of it is they try to dismantle the legal system, the judiciary as we know it in Israel, in order to derail Netanyahu's corruption trial. This is a kind of the fundamental issue here. And for this, they are ready to ruin the foundations of Israel's democratic system and harm also the gatekeepers.
Do you think the treatment of her threatens to worsen what Prime Minister Netanyahu has called the worst PR crisis for Israel?
This is the worst PR crisis for Israel?
The completely moral bankruptcy of Netanyahu. It's not the release of the clip that undermines Israel. It's what is alleged to happen there is the problem. And not only there are other cases that are not investigated. Whether
It's so wild that this is exactly like Abu Ghraib, which happened in, 2006, 2005? The alleged abuses in the prison in Iraq.
Killing of journalists, killing of medical personnel. There are so many other cases that not investigated. That's what compromise is a morality.
He's right. Bring it back to the U.S. for some crime news. Warlord, you still here? We're getting there. We're getting close to that story. I've got some crazy shit tonight. Holy fuck. A standoff happened yesterday in L.A. 2 people detained after an hours-long standoff.
5. Chaos and confusion today during a standoff in a downtown Los Angeles apartment building. Fox 11's Nick Garcia joining us with we know about what happened there, Nick.
All right, Christine, well, LAPD investigators still trying to sort out exactly what happened. Here's what we do know. Initially, there were reports that a woman was firing shots from a rifle in this building downtown here, but now 2 men are in custody, no woman or weapon in sight. LAPD SWAT out in full force Wednesday morning in downtown LA. The initial call reporting gunshots coming in around 5:30 a.m. at the Broadway Palace apartment building on Broadway near Olympic Boulevard. Some who live in the building say they heard shots later in the morning too.
I heard a gunshot around 7:38 a.m. I kind of looked at him and was like, was that a gunshot? And I think he was like, yeah, I think it was.
They were among the people ordered to shelter in place for several hours, as police said there were suspects inside an apartment refusing to come out. The situation prompting the LAPD to declare a citywide tactical alert.
We bring resources not just from central area, but adjacent.
They got to bring out the big toys.
As far as the Valley Bureau to help us maintain the safety of this. This is a big operation with a massive building and massive perimeter.
Much of the standoff playing out on an online live stream.
We're here on the 10th floor looking out the balcony facing eastbound, and we do see bullet holes in the building directly across from us.
LAPD believed the suspects were armed, so they eventually started getting neighbors out of the building.
We were on the 8th floor of the building, and there were probably 10, 15 policemen up there on the floor trying to evacuate everybody.
Around 12:30 this afternoon, this video from the Citizen app shows 2 men being taken into custody. The LAPD says officers did not find a weapon.
It didn't even have a weapon.
He says it does not appear anybody was shot down here. Still quite a bit confusing, especially for those who live in this area, but for now, all clear.
So where did the bullet holes come from?
LAPD shares with us in the coming days. For now,
the cops shot, didn't they?
Garcia, Fox 11 News.
So they got a report of a shooting, but there was never a shooting. They completely shut down at least the city block, but they said they went citywide with their tactical alert. Holy fuck. Quesadilla, welcome in. This case of a missing 9-year-old. Her name is Melody Buzzard. Getting national attention. I'm assuming just from past cases she probably dead. The mom appeared in court.
Melody Buzzard, as the mom of the missing 9-year-old California girl, appeared in court yesterday. Our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman, is in L.A. with more for us. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Robin. Ashley Buzzard may be out of jail. She is not out of investigators' crosshairs. They say she has been uncooperative about what happened to her 9-year-old daughter, Melody. And at this point, they tell me they're investigating all angles, including the chilling possibility that she was trafficked. This morning, Ashley Buzzard, the mother
by her mom,
Melody, who's been missing from her home near Santa Barbara for over a month now, sent home from jail with a GPS monitor following this court appearance.
Ma'am, you're released on supervised release.
But Ashley wasn't in court to face charges related to Melody's disappearance. She was there to face a charge of false imprisonment after a man she knew, named Tyler Brewer, accused her of holding him against his will in her home.
What?
Brewer claims Ashley brandished a box cutter and refused to let him leave after he says she shared information she appeared to regret disclosing.
We're entering a not guilty plea.
Buzzard released after a judge ruled she was not a flight risk. Adrian Galvin is her attorney.
We're eager to test the reliability, veracity, and credibility of the complaining witness in this case.
Outside the courthouse, Melody's paternal grandmother, Lily Dennis, spoke to our affiliate, KEYT.
I want to know where my granddaughter is. What's going on? They let her go? They didn't say nothing about my granddaughter?
And overnight, I asked Ashley's attorney about that. Can you say whether Ashley is concerned about the welfare of her daughter, Melody?
I can't comment on that.
Melody, last spotted in these surveillance images, standing slightly behind her mother at a car rental in Lompoc, California on October 7th. Both Melody and her mother wearing wigs. Authorities say the pair drove off in a Chevy Malibu 1,500 miles to Nebraska. Ashley returned 3 days later, but without her daughter. The FBI and local law enforcement say they've been working to retrace their movements after finding the license plates on the Malibu were swapped out during the drive.
We
have discovered that there was a change of the license plate on the vehicle that we've been describing that went on this road trip. And then also an additional sighting that places Melody with Ashley as far along that trip as the October 9th.
That was somewhere near the Colorado-Utah region, and authorities say it was the last time anyone had seen Melody. The next day, Ashley returned the car with the original plates, but without Melody. Authorities served a warrant to search Ashley's home, the rental car, and a storage locker. Law enforcement sources from multiple agencies point out the catch-22 in this case. On the one hand, they are extremely worried about what happened to Melody, but because they can't find Melody and because there is no actual evidence that a crime has been committed, they can't charge Ashley with any crime, even though they say she has been uncooperative from the very start.
She doesn't have her kid. She had.
Thanks very much.
If she's the one with custody, there has to be some sort of crime. If the kid is unaccounted for, that's a missing child. Holy shit. This next one, I have to hit the content warning multiple times. This is one of the most horrific stories I have ever talked about on this show. I can't believe the headline. A judge has ordered home detention for a 9-year-old who has been accused of rape and attempted murder of a 5-year-old.
In a troubling story we've been following in Cleveland after a 5-year-old girl was beaten and abandoned in a field. Today, the suspect, a 9-year-old boy, was in juvenile court facing rape, strangulation, and attempted murder charges. So a heads up right now that the details you're about to hear are tough to hear.
Yeah! I mean, the details you've already read are tough to hear. What the fuck, indeed.
Here, Annabelle Childers has the latest.
Do you have any questions about your rights? No. He's shaking his head no.
This morning, a 9-year-old boy walked into a juvenile courtroom with 2 family members. The boy is one of 2 young children accused of raping and brutally attacking a 5-year-old girl in mid-September. Both children denying those allegations in court.
Again, this case resulted in a 5-year-old being left naked, beaten, urinated upon in the field, and left for hours. The evidence demonstrated to the prosecution indicates that MB was one of 2 primary assailants to that poor little girl.
Last week, the 9-year-old suspect in this case was arraigned, and Judge Kristen Sweeney ordered her to home detention with ankle monitoring. Today, the mother of the 5-year-old victim asked the judge to consider a different...
Wait a minute, ordered her. Did I get that straight? The perpetrator was
beaten, urinated upon,
a girl,
field, and left for hours. The evidence demonstrated to the prosecution indicates that MB was one of two primary assailants to that poor little girl.
Last week, the 9-year-old suspect in this case was arraigned, and Judge Kristen Sweeney ordered her to home detention with ankle monitoring. Today, the mother of the 5-year-old victim asked the judge to consider a different option for the 9-year-old boy.
I do not believe that these kids should be able to...
Okay, so it's two 9-year-olds that are the suspects, and it's one is a girl and one is a little boy.
Return home. Their behavior that caused them to do something so evil obviously started at home.
Judge Sweeney ultimately did order the boy to home detention with ankle monitoring, but she added this.
Well, I am just going to put this on the record too. The court will be asking the county to do an investigation, Children and Family Services to be doing an investigation in this matter. And that's all I'm going to say about that at the present time.
Each child has also been ordered to complete a competency evaluation. Court staff explained today that during those evaluations, professionals will look at factors like age, mental health, intellect, and maturity.
Because I fully expect that there will be at least two psychologists who will be assessing that issue. We will be setting the competency hearing sometime in January, probably towards the end.
And the victim's mom previously told me she wants her daughter's story to be told, and most of all, to see justice in this case. And some new information we just learned, the court has set an emergency custody hearing for the 9-year-old boy tomorrow morning.
All right, we'll keep following it. Annabelle Childers in the newsroom. Thank you.
In most cases, I'm going to tell you that a 9-year-old isn't capable of knowing what they're doing. But that is an incredibly horrific crime. A nurse in Boston. Vimvox, welcome in. Good evening, darling. Oh, God. A nurse in Boston is accused of replacing a patient's medication with cleaning fluid.
Right now, a nurse at this long-term care facility is no longer employed here and facing federal charges. According to this federal indictment, 66-year-old Laurie Robertson is accused of swapping liquid oxycodone from a bottle with a syringe and replacing the liquid with a household cleaner. This all happened at the Milltown Health and Rehabilitation Center in Amesbury. According to the indictment, quote, while working at the rehabilitation center, Robertson treated multiple patients, including patient 1, a
Oh my God.
and dementia patient who was prescribed oxycodone. The documents say she had access to the patient's drugs on March 31st. The Food and Drug Administration, which is investigating the alleged crime, says Robertson tampered with the drug. She was arraigned on that federal charge last week, pleading not guilty, and then released on the condition she not work at a place where prescription medication exists.
Laurie, it's Peter from Channel 5.
What do you think?
See if you wanted to tell your side of the story.
I don't think she should be working at any place that's a medical care facility.
About what happened.
Through her door, Robertson told us, no thank you. Milltown is under state receivership. The court-appointed receiver telling us over the phone, Robertson is no longer employed here. Otherwise, he had no comment.
So the full indictment was sealed, so it's unclear at this point what prosecutors believe that suspect's motivations may have been here. We did reach out to her attorney, but we never heard back. We're live in Amesbury tonight. I'm Peter Iliopoulos, WCVB News Center.
I mean, might as well keep them coming, right? Keep them coming is a weird thing to say before I'm getting ready to do a story about a man who sexually assaulted 60 other men.
Back in the United States and in a Santa Clara County courtroom, 35-year-old Franklin Enrique Sarceño Orla appeared for the first time in front of a judge Monday, facing life in prison. Mountain View Police Department Detective Lauren Riffle was the lead investigator into accusations that Sarceño Orla drugged and sexually assaulted at least 19 men while working as a barber.
When you have more than one,
Says 60 men in the headline. Says 19 men while working as a barber.
that's crazy enough. When you have more than 5, 10, and going all the way up to over 60 people, talking to 60 humans that were victimized, in a certain population, it's terrible to have to hear these stories over and over again.
Sarceño Orla freshly back in the States for this court appearance after fleeing the country and heading to Guatemala. District Attorney Jeff Rosen says Sarceño Orla skipped court after posting bail when arrested for his first alleged rape, around the time we first covered this case last fall. The court documents detail a string of crimes dating back to 2018. Victims reported losing consciousness after sharing drinks with Sarceño Orla, passing out, and waking up injured in his home. DA Rosen has also added enhancements to charges because Sarceño Orla is HIV positive.
Once this individual fled the country, we made sure that we did everything we could to bring him back. We don't forget.
Sarceño Orla operated a home barbershop within his apartment in Mountain View. Some of the men were his clients around the time they were assaulted, according to prosecutors. Others were men he met in local nightclubs. Mountain View Police Chief Michael Canfield applauds survivors for coming forward to help solve this case.
In my career, in almost 27 years, I have never seen a case like this, with this scope, with this breadth of impact on our community. With this arrest, our community is safer, and our victims know that there is justice that they can seek.
Sarceño Orla will remain in custody this time around after a judge ruled no bail allowed. His next
I bet.
will be in January.
He proved he's a flight risk. Was it Tuesday? Tuesday was Veterans Day, right? Let's hear from this vet who shot and killed a naked man who was walking outside of his home.
Vietnam veteran who foiled an attack and saved his neighbor's life is talking about his terrifying ordeal from his hospital bed with 2 broken legs after he shot and killed a naked intruder in Studio City last week. Fox 11's Laura Diaz is live in Mission Hills, where she just spoke one-on-one with him on...
Laura D's titties. God damn.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
She can be my GOP mommy, and you know she is.
This Veterans Day, Laura.
Yes, Christine, I got to spend some quality time with him. We just left a short time ago from his room, and I can tell you this, according to his family, he's going to be in the hospital probably another week, and then comes all the rehab, which can be very difficult. But if you are looking for inspiration today, you need look no further than George.
I wasn't, but you can give me some.
So nice to meet you, and what an honor on Veterans Day. It's a special day, and we're visiting 79-year-old George Carcos, an Army veteran recovering at Holy Cross Hospital in Mission Hills, 4 days after police say he saved his neighbor from a naked intruder in Studio City. The signs of the terrifying struggle against the much larger intruder are easy to see. 2 broken legs and a painful road to recovery. But the landlord turned hero says he has no regrets.
In a second, without hesitation.
I'm sorry, but a landlord cannot be a hero.
I had no clue what he was going to do or was capable of doing.
Those 2 words do not go in the same sentence.
The naked trespasser roaming the Studio City neighborhood. George says he knew he had to leap into action when his young female neighbor screamed frantically for help. The alleged intruder had invaded her home. He pleaded for the man to go away, that he had called police over and over again. When he refused,
did he have a nice dick at least?
But the suspect would not leave. Things escalated. The suspect slammed George to the ground.
I'm on my back. My legs collapsed. He's on top of me, and my arm with the gun is pinned behind my back. So I was able to reach back with my left hand, take the gun out of my right hand, and I brought it out, and I pressed it against him, and I shot. And then he moved back a little bit, I shot again.
The unidentified suspect died from his gunshot wounds. Neighbors told Fox 11 on Friday that they emphatically hailed George as a hero. I asked him what that felt like.
I kind of disregard it, but I don't consider myself a hero. You know, it's a situation where I was fortunate enough to do the right thing.
And so on this Veterans Day, the man who served his country proudly in Vietnam said as a last resort, he found a way to help another human being.
I'm just thankful that I'm alive and that the situation got taken care of.
LAPD investigators tell me that George did everything humanly possible to try to end the altercation peacefully, but the assailant simply would not hear of it. And speaking of the LAPD, we're about to show you some video right now. Some members of the LAPD, about 6 members, they stopped by to see George today and to wish him a happy Veterans Day.
That dude only counts as a half, so 5.5.
Who wanted to say a thank you to George for his service. A lot of them also served their country with distinction.
Real hogs.
They recognized him for the part that he played, the valor that he displayed, and they were happy to be able to say to him, thank you for his service. And I was happy too, Christine and Susan, that I was able to say to George, thank you for your service. He's such a humble man. As his wife described him to me, she said he is a man of distinction. He is a man of such valor. And so we present to you George on this Veterans Day. And I would like to say to people, if you would like to help him, a GoFundMe has been set up. You can go to foxla.com and we'll tell you exactly how to do that. I'm Laura Diaz reporting live from in front of the hospital in Mission Hills.
All that just for shooting a naked trespasser. Well, apparently he was trying to assault a woman. And he was, you know, it wasn't just a naked trespasser. The dude was trying to assault the resident. So I'm glad he wasn't able to, but also, dude might have been having some sort of mental break. He might have not really been more of a danger to himself than other people, for all I know. But then again, he broke the dude's leg. He threw him down to the ground. It's hard to say what's right and wrong in that situation. I've shot several naked trespassers. I gotta show you the difference between my gun and my pistol. Smallville star Allison Mack is speaking out on her cult conviction.
Allison Mack, the former Smallville star who pled guilty to racketeering charges after admitting that she was one of the lead recruiters for the sex cult NXIVM, is speaking out for the first time.
I don't see myself as innocent.
Mack admitting to the CBC's Uncovered series that she...
I'm sorry, is this a triggering story, Byronic? I'm sorry. Well, let's get through this bullshit and get to South Park. This is a short one.
Relied on her television fame to recruit women to NXIVM and then manipulate them into sexual slavery.
And it was a power tool that I had to get people to do what I wanted. I think that I was very effective in moving Keith's vision forward.
Keith is Keith Rainier, the mastermind behind NXIVM.
I'm an interesting person, I'm a controversial person, but most importantly, I'm an unconventional person.
He originally builds NXIVM as a vehicle for self-improvement, but it quickly called a sex trafficking operation.
Fair enough.
Where women were branded with Rainier's initials and coerced into sex. In court, Mack admitted to recruiting impressionable young women for Rainier and then blackmailing them into becoming sex slaves.
I was harsh. And I was callous, and I was aggressive and forceful in ways that were painful for people and did make people feel like they had no choice, and was incredibly abusive to people, traumatic for people.
Mac says she takes ownership for all the wrong she did during her time with NXIVM, but maintains she didn't set out to hurt people.
I definitely recognize and admit that I was abusing my power, but I also can't negate the fact that there was a part of me that was altruistic.
Altruistic.
To help people.
Wow.
Our thanks to Janae. Raniere is now serving a 120-year prison sentence after being found guilty of multiple charges, including human trafficking.
I don't know. I think it's more the charisma, Flash.
Allison Mack was initially sentenced to 3 years in jail and was let out after 2 for good behavior. She's currently pursuing a master's in social work and working at a nonprofit to help bring the arts into prison.
Good for her, then. I'm glad she learned her lesson, was rehabilitated, hopefully. Is a productive member of society. Here's one for you. I know my chat very well. I don't know if you are going to believe this woman. She says she was the victim of domestic violence. But there is a twist to the story.
Says her former LAPD officer says her ex-boyfriend, also an officer, framed her after she accused him of domestic violence.
Tonight, she's speaking out about evidence she claims the department.
Well, yeah. Believe women. I think I saw the statistic again. It was like 99% of rape allegations are true. Like less than 1% of rape allegations are false, which means when you hear a woman claim rape, she's almost certainly telling the truth. But we throw another wrinkle in there with the fact that it's 2 cops. So nobody to root for here, right?
Former LAPD officer says her ex-boyfriend, also an officer, framed her after she accused him of domestic violence.
She a cutie.
Tonight, she's speaking out about evidence she claims the department ignored. Fox 11's Gina Silva live in Pasadena with those details. Gina?
They both probably beat up on each other.
The domestic violence case is raising serious questions about accountability within the LAPD. According to this former LAPD officer, she says that when she complained about abuse, she is the one who was punished.
How are other victims supposed to come forward? This is exactly why I didn't want to come forward.
Former LAPD officer Tani Ramirez filed a domestic violence restraining order on October 20th, 2023, against her ex-boyfriend, Jorge Ruben Alvarado, also an LAPD officer. Several months later, Tani was the one who lost her job.
I lost my reputation. Everything that I worked hard for is gone. People are asking me, well, what happened? How do I tell people what happened to me? I was framed for domestic violence and time fraud. How do I tell people that?
After filing the restraining order against her ex, Tani says he turned around and accused her of domestic violence and showed the LAPD a photo of his bruised arm.
He presented a conversation over text. He had a bruise. He asked me where he got it. I said, oh yeah, you did get that bruise in my house. Yeah, that's probably where I squeezed you. But then he cropped it. The next sentence was, not that you did it. I think I got it from sleeping.
When a victim of domestic violence reports abuse, it is not uncommon for the abuser to turn around and say that the abused is the abuser.
Yep.
Attorney Nicole Castronova, who represents Ramirez, says the LAPD ignored key evidence, including the full text exchange.
When you look at the full text string, you can see that he said, I got this bruise on my arm from sleeping on it. And my client provided that to the department. I myself provided it to the department.
She adds that the time card fraud claim stems from the time Ramirez called in to care for her terminally ill brother, who has since died.
I actually used family ill. He was already in hospice. The policy doesn't state I can't leave the house to run errands.
She says her ex told LAPD that she had also applied for the Beverly Hills Police Department during her leave. Ramirez admits she had applied in hopes of getting away from him. Now Ramirez is fighting to get her job back.
That is true.
Advice for victims of domestic violence.
Don't be afraid. Someone's going to listen to you. You're gonna have to really stand firm on your faith. God will never leave you.
The LAPD does not comment on personnel matters, but during the investigation of this case, it was discovered that the department has not been reporting domestic violence cases involving its own officers.
Oh, I bet.
Even though there is a state law that requires it. Susan, Laura? I'm sorry, Marla?
No, it's okay. Is there any consequence for that?
No.
No, the department says
Who's going to enforce it?
Following what they thought was the correct way of doing the reporting. But, you know, according to data from Post, this is the state agency that certifies police officers, more than 250 law enforcement agencies across California have not reported any domestic violence at all. So experts say that's highly unlikely. So they believe that a lot of agencies are not reporting these cases.
Gina, did her attorney find any evidence that this is a pattern within LAPD to
Mr. Spronk, welcome in.
Characterize domestic violence?
Well, she's been an attorney for quite some time, and she says, you know, that's usually the case. Whenever you accuse someone of domestic violence, they will then turn it around and accuse the victim and say, no, they are the ones that are causing this. In fact, she named Diddy, you know, how Diddy came out at one point and accused his girlfriend of causing some of the problems. And she also mentioned O.J. Simpson and how O.J. Simpson at one point said, well, yeah, you know, we had some fights, but she was the one who was always causing the problems. And at the time, some LAPD officers believed him.
I thought we had made some advancements, though, since the...
No.
Gina, thank
you. Donald Trump is president. We have devolved. Are we not men? We are Devo. What did he do exactly? Do you guys remember? I want to say it wasn't a year ago. It was probably 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago at this point. I remember what apartment I was in. I do not remember exactly how long ago it was. But there was a newspaper in Kansas that was reporting on corruption. I think it was in the local police department, and the police department raided them, and there was like a 90-year-old woman in the corner, and she's giving the police what for and cussing them out while they're executing the warrant. Do you guys remember that video? That woman died like a day or two later from the stress of the warrant. $3 million is what the county has agreed to pay that newspaper.
There's an awful lot of people who have been targeted by the criminal justice system, by powers that be, by whatever else, in a weaponized sort of way. That
this is one of the last independently owned newspapers in the fucking country. It was that old lady and her son's newspaper.
It just shouldn't be happening. It was just a case to harass us, and they intentionally wanted to harass us for reporting the news. And you're not supposed to do that in a democracy. The money is not important, other than as a symbol. And
I want to say it was like a sheriff or maybe a mayor, somebody in the mayor's office. It was an official, and they'd had a DUI, and they tried to cover it up. It was something like that they were reporting on.
We're looking into what's going to happen to that. It will maybe be a fund to make sure that the newspaper is viable. You know, they tried to kill the newspaper. Well, let's just make sure it's got a lifeline forever. I'm looking into things about encouraging young journalists to work in community journalism and figuring out a way to get that done. It's blood money. You don't want blood money, but it has to be. You know, practical reality is people don't take things seriously unless it has a cost to it, and this is the cost.
The $3 million is what it cost the county for that illegal raid. In Boston, they used some new technology to find a woman who was stuck in a swamp. I didn't know they had a lot of swamps up in Massachusetts.
A unique rescue on the North Shore. Police and firefighters dispatched to a swamp where somebody was stuck.
Yeah, our Rondella Richardson is live in Manchester by the Sea with the tool first responders used to pull it off. Rondella.
Oh, they had bogs up north.
It's just a free app that anyone can use, but first responders use this innovative tool to find people in places that don't have real addresses. Think like water or swampy areas or hiking trails. And this is kind of interesting. Every 10 feet of the world has been put on a grid and assigned 3 words. The app is called What 3 Words? And think of it words instead of GPS coordinates. The woman, the victim, was yesterday stuck in the muddy waters down an embankment off of Route 128 South. She got lost on a walk. She's not from the area. She called 911 from her cell. The fire department on the What 3 Words system received the 3 words Jockey Examples State as her precise location.
What?
So when those 3 words are sent over to our vehicles via our computer-aided dispatch system, we can then integrate them into our mapping software so we can see where the people are even before we get on scene.
How much time does this save?
Sometimes days. On the average rescue, it would save us hours because we'd have to walk around with blow horns or sirens and try to triangulate where people are. This does it automatically.
The What 3 Words app gives a 10 by 10 foot square area.
Yeah, DJ Dub. I don't.
George Black.
If they have a phone, it would know like their exact coordinates. They would just be able to send them. Why would they need this 3-word system? It's odd to me.
In the ice commander suit, rescued the woman. She was in waist deep water and she was actually completely fine. Didn't even need medical assistance, likely because of how quickly she was rescued. Live in Manchester by the Sea, Rondella Richardson, WCVB News Center.
Cause like, oh, they mapped the world into grid coordinates. Didn't we already do that fucking hundreds of years ago? It's called latitude and longitude. That is true, the further from a cell tower you are. But like, I used to have an app that I clocked into my job from, and it told me my latitude and longitude. I feel like I need to look into this more because that's kind of odd. Yeah, the 3-word thing. I'm gonna have to look into it. We're gonna have to see exactly what that fucking shit does. You want to watch a train smash a produce truck? Pokemon Go is more accurate than Google Maps. This is a produce truck. I may have played this before. Wait, what are you doing, dude? What the absolute fuck? Why would you do that? Oh my god. And no, I've not played this before. This is the first time I'm seeing this. It's happened on October 30th. He is fucking lucky he got that truck off the tracks. This happened in Canada, I believe. Those pears? Papayas? It injured 5 people. It doesn't say where it was at. Oh, it's the Netherlands. A loaded fruit truck can be seen trying to maneuver over the train tracks, only to get stuck when the safety gates... Okay, so he's apparently trying to get over the tracks and got stuck. Was he not carrying enough? It looks like he slammed on his brakes. I don't know what he got stuck on. It was a drive-by fruiting. Oh dear, it was a drive-by fruiting. Oh, he couldn't make the corner. Oh, you might be right, Mr. Spronk. Damn. Yeah, because that car moved out of the way. Apparently they just let him go. Like, they would do 2 takes that were the script, and then like 3 takes that were just Robin making up his own lines, and that there's enough shit to make a whole other movie, that they could take just the footage that they shot for Mrs. Doubtfire and make a whole other movie, a completely new movie of all the shit that Robin did. That man was amazing. Seriously, Holiday. Am I done with wild videos? Nope, of course I'm not. This happened in Oklahoma. A tanker truck spilled ammonia.
It's a pretty scary video out of Oklahoma where a tanker truck started leaking ammonia overnight. In some of this video, you can actually see that noxious gas there seeping out low at the ground level. And so we're watching that story, and we're going to talk about that with CBS News correspondent Chanel Culp in our newsroom. What do we know about it?
Well, this toxic ammonia leak happened in a hotel parking lot last night at around 10 p.m. And it was happening in Weatherford, Oklahoma. We do have that video that we were showing you. That was sent to us from a viewer, and it was sent to our local CBS news station.
It looks like there's dry ice everywhere.
An 8,500-gallon tanker truck that was leaking toxic.
Yes, rip to the rats at that hotel.
We do have an update read on the number of people who were impacted by this. When we spoke earlier, I was telling you the number of people who were injured during this leak was in the dozens, and hundreds of people were forced to evacuate the area. We now know from Weatherford Regional Hospital, they just put out a statement recently saying 36 total patients were seen through emergency department. 10 people were transferred to higher levels of care in Oklahoma City.
He didn't like that one bit.
Treated and released were sent home. As for why this happened, Reed, still unclear, but here's more on this from the local police chief. Listen.
We don't have any information that the truck was in an accident. Right now, best what we can determine that it was either a mechanical failure on a valve or it was a faulty seal.
And so if you're wondering what is ammonia, Reed, it is sort of a clear, foul-smelling liquid or gas. Typically, when you're around it in small doses, it's not very harmful to your health. But because this was a pretty significant leak in a pretty public area, and because we did see so many injuries, people were forced to evacuate because there are some health concerns here. It can cause coughing, it can cause trouble breathing, it can also cause burns in some cases, which is why the local police department had put out a public safety notice and a shelter-in-place notice. I can now tell you that has been lifted.
8,500 gallons. Jesus.
What we're following on my computer screen here, you'll see this is the website for Southwestern Oklahoma State University. Some of the evacuees were actually staying here. That has now shown that the shelter in place has been lifted, but classes there were canceled because of the ammonia incident. And it says here they plan to resume normal operations tomorrow on Friday, November 14th. We're also tracking what's happening at Weatherford Public Schools. They posted this saying, on the advice of local authorities, Weatherford Public Schools will be closed today. That is Thursday, November 13th. And they will be posting additional updates on their Facebook page as well. As for Reed, what's happening on the ground there right now, we know that at that hotel parking lot, they have a hazmat crew there that is monitoring the scene. We also know that the local fire department is going business to business in that area.
This is like East Palestine.
Just to make sure the scene is safe and also to keep an eye on the air quality there. But again, the big news coming from the scene is that shelter in place has been lifted, and we now know 36 people were injured.
All right, Chanel Call, thank you.
And we're not going to know the impacts of this for years. This bicyclist is out here living my dream, meeting a cougar up on a mountain trail.
Go!
Oh, sorry, it's a mountain lion.
Encountering a mountain lion on an Orange County trail. The cyclists say their encounter took place in Whiting Ranch, Dreaded Hill in Lake Forest. Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter spoke with...
Once again, I'm going to point out, if you hear that I have overdosed or taken my own life, they are lying to you. The cops who are investigating it are lying to you, and they're covering something up. Do not believe it. If you hear either of those things, that I have overdosed or that I took my own life, it is a lie. Investigate. I assure you. If you hear that I died of a heart attack or that a big cat mauled me, that's the truth. That is the likeliest scenario of how I will pass away.
Local community scientists and wildlife...
It totally happened.
...who knows about mountain lions in our area and has some advice on what to do if you find yourself face-to-face with a mountain lion.
A frightening encounter for two mountain bikers in Orange County as they are stalked by a mountain lion.
No! No!
It happened Sunday afternoon. The riders who don't want to be identified spotted the large cat hiding in the bushes.
No!
I'm just saying, like, if somebody wanted to kill me and cover it up, they would think drug overdose, because, oh, everybody would believe that. He's a druggie. No. No one should believe that.
And their bikes as a barrier when the mountain lion suddenly followed along.
Here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
It is concerning because that's what you don't want. Typically, mountain lions don't want anything to do with humans.
Mark Gerardo, community scientist and wildlife photographer.
Look how cute.
Captured cougar cubs and their mom on camera in the Santa Ana Mountains. Says the mountain lion is a young juvenile and says the bikers did exactly what you're supposed to.
We might go down.
We don't want to give it our back, so.
No.
Despite being followed for several minutes, the cat then making a final frightening charge.
Hey! No!
I'm assuming
it's so pretty.
Mountain lion, because it still has spots, it probably recently left mom, and it's probably just not sure of what to do. Maybe it's just curious and trying to figure out what these humans are.
He says there was a second reported encounter with the mountain lion and says the rangers have been alerted. The bikers escaping
It ain't hurting nobody.
And warning others to always be on alert out on the trails.
Go away, kitty!
Leanne Suter, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
You're saying survival like they were ever in any danger. That was just a little kitty. It was just a little cute kitty. I'd have a pet mountain lion. I mean, that was absolutely cute enough for me to do as the animal video. But it's wrong of me to leave you without like a adorable animal video, right? This is Ruby. Ruby was the pet of the week at this Idaho news station.
Hello everybody, I'm Ruby with Snake River Animal Shelter. Today I have Ruby. She is a 3.5-year-old mixed breed. She is a really good dog. She gets along with other dogs.
Twitch people, we're going to watch
she
South Park.
Is potty trained. She loves routine.
In just a couple of minutes.
Probably one of our best behaved dogs. She's also one of our longest residents, and I don't know why, because she is so good. We don't know how.
YouTube people, podcast people.
Kids 12 plus.
Light one up, tip one back.
Sometimes.
It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. I will be here Sunday night. I will be off Monday next week. I I will be here Sunday night, though. I promise you. Podcast people, my apologies.
With Snake River Animal Shelter today.
The election coverage was too long for me to be able to put up.
She is a really good dog. She gets along with other dogs really well. She is potty trained. She loves routine.
You've missed out on a few episodes of the Troll Patrol the last few weeks on the podcast. I'm sorry.
She's so good. We don't know how she is with cats. She
But
probably
we'll be here Sunday night.
because she gets a little excited sometimes.
Oh, I already did the whole light one up, tip one back.
Awesome.
Get out of here,
See us at
fuckers.
3000 Lindsay Boulevard, Snake River Animal.
Except Twitch people, you stick with me.